a 5 to 7 minute break, and then staff will change hands and we'll start the other board meeting. So we are adjourned.
morning. We welcome you to the board meeting this morning. The meeting will come to order. The first item of business are the commissioners, county managers' recognition. And the first item is to commemorate Irish American Heritage Month and present a proclamation to Under Sheriff Andrew Walsh. Commissioner Naft.
Thank you, Chairman Gibson. Welcome, everybody. I am thrilled to get to kick off our recognition of Irish American Heritage Month with a performance from the Las Vegas Emerald Society, a group of law enforcement and firefighter agencies from Southern Nevada who continuously support first responder agencies and interact with the community during charitable events to raise awareness of Celtic culture and the arts. I'll turn it over to Jason, Jack, and Nelson. Well, nobody could say you guys don't amplify yourselves. Thank you so much to the Las Vegas Emerald Society. In just a moment, they'll carry us out, but now I have the privilege of getting to recognize and honor somebody who is a true friend to all of us and personally to me. Our honoree today is Under Sheriff Andy Walsh. And for those who don't know him, he is not only an incredible Irish American, but he's an incredible person and a wonderful addition. He served his whole career with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And you may not know that beginning in 2009, the Irish Echo Law and Order Awards recognize the brave women and men in law enforcement who go above and beyond. This is an internationally read publication based in New York City, and they honored our very own Under Sheriff Andy Walsh for all of his contributions to this community, but to the law enforcement world nationally and internationally. I got to know Under Sheriff Walsh when he was a young captain at the Bolden Area Command, and I was working in that area. And I can tell you, aside from all of his professional accolades, there is nobody you would want to be on the other end of a phone call when you're in a time of crisis or emergency. He has served that role for me personally and professionally. I've had the honor of working with him and now get the privilege to recognize him. Under Sheriff Walsh, will you join us up here? Is this one working? 1, 2. 1, 2. So this is really important, mostly for the record, because the undersheriff and I were talking the other day, and it turns out within the department, there's a bit of a discrepancy over who the most Irish American among our team Metro is. And Sheriff, if you're watching, I just want to point out Under Sheriff Walsh is here today receiving the Irish American Heritage Month honoree recognition from Clark County. So let the record state that, and please join us in honoring and thanking Under Sheriff Walsh. And that's right. And she's following the undersheriff, but I want to thank and recognize our former honorary consul to Ireland, Terry Murphy, who has helped, as long as I've been at the county and long before that, she's helped put together these celebrations. Will you join me in thanking Ms. Murphy? And Manager Schiller, I'll turn it back to you.
Commissioners, item 2 is to present a proclamation to Peter Sarles in recognition of over 20 years of service as a Community Development Advisory Committee CDAC member.
Mr. Sarles, if you're making your way down here, but we have this pleasure today of recognizing you. I know we have an item from CDAC coming up on the agenda, but if you'll join us up here, I'd like to tell the audience a little bit about you and your service to Clark County. You've served on the Community Development Advisory Committee, CDAC as we call it, since 2001. I know you are very proud of this, so I'm not speaking out of turn because you've told us about it. You've only missed 1 year in 22, and that was because of hip replacement surgery. He wants to point that out to everybody. He has been involved with allocations of approximately $100 million and nearly 7,000 completed affordable housing units with an additional 1,030 units under development. You've been involved with the ESG program allocations of $8 million, and thousands of individuals and families have been assisted because of you and your work and your contributions to the committee. You've also been involved with 4 CDBG capital improvement projects totaling $107 million and 43 capital projects completed with another 9 projects underway. Will you join me in recognizing Mr. Peter Sarles? And you he made sure every dollar went out into the community. We appreciate that. So today, you serve as the representative to Enterprise on CDAC, and you have for those 2 decades. And Commissioner Jones and I and the entire board want to recognize you for that service with this proclamation declaring today Peter Sarles Day in Clark County. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I retired from my profession in 2000, and I needed something else to do with my life, and people said you can't just sit around and drink beer and watch TV and whatever, because all you do is gain weight and end up in the hospital. And so I started building houses with Habitat, and I also got involved with I have to carry my things around so that I can remember what I'm supposed to say, with CDAC, and this is my first certificate dated October 2001, and that's proof that I've been 20 years. I'll be 85 in July, so I'm still looking for a few more years of CDAC, and I hope that we get out of the electronic stuff and we got to actually see people and work with people again, because I'm not a good whiz kid with a computer at all. I've really enjoyed it, met some wonderful people, and been in some wonderful places. We used to go on bus trips and see where the houses were being built, how much they had been built, and what more needed to be done, and another $50 million, and we're off and running. So thank you all very much, and thank you, and thank you.
Commissioners, item 3 is to recognize and present a proclamation to the family of Tyreek Watley in celebration of his life and to bring awareness to senseless gun violence. Commissioner McCurdy.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. It is an honor and a privilege to recognize the family of Tyreek Watley as we continue to recognize and honor his life. As we know, firearms are the leading cause of death of children and teens in the United States and in Nevada. In fact, close to 53 people are killed by a firearm in the United States each day. On an average year, there are 486 deaths by firearm throughout Nevada. At this time, I would like to ask the family of Tyreek Watley to please join us here on the dais, at the dais. And as they're coming, I'm going to talk a little bit about Tyreek. Tyreek Watley was born in Las Vegas, Nevada on March 19th, 2003. Tyreek grew up in church, loving the Lord, loving gospel music, and was a gifted musician who could play the drums and the guitar. Tyreek Watley attended Canyon Springs High School in North Las Vegas. He was a member of the football program for 4 years and was a 2-year varsity letterman. Tyreek received a football scholarship to Lincoln University in Oakland, California, where he tragically lost his life on August 29th, 2021, and we are still seeking justice for him. Tyreek loved spending time with his friends, his younger sister, Trinity, and his younger brother, Tavian and Trenton. Tyreek always valued his family and supported them in everything that they did. And it is an honor for us as a board to recognize the entire family and recognize this 21st date of March 2023. We do hereby recognize your family and honor the life of Tyreek Watley. And it is an honor to present this to you. And for our entire board, we are with you, and we are with you as you seek justice. And I'll turn it over to his family to say a few words.
First of all, I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank the Commissioner's Office. Thank you, Commissioner McCurdy. Try not to cry. Trying to handle this. I'm grateful for the support. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my wife, and we're thankful for the support we have. I look over there and I look back there. Principal Hunter, who was his principal when he graduated high school, came and supported him. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. I see plenty of support, his brothers, his close friends, who he spent and he loved. Thank y'all for coming. My brothers, I see y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Pastor Fives, CJ, Pastor Collins, thank you all for coming. PT, thank you. We just truly appreciate all of the people who take time and really reach out to the family and all that. One of the main things and one of the focuses for us was just bringing attention to gun violence, and it's crazy because I've dealt with a lot of things, you know, being a teacher in the district and in the community for a long time, and then when it finally hits you, it's one of the toughest things. But Tyreek was a special kid. The smile would brighten up the room. His personality was everything. The kid was special. And I just thank you all for your love and support. Thank you for everything you're doing for our family and done for our family. This community has been awesome. It's amazing. I thank my Cornerstone Church family, Pastor Tina, thank my Pastor Dora, all of us. We've just come together, and I thank you all.
Want to just thank you and appreciate you for recognizing him. I don't know if you remember us after he graduated. We attended the for the graduates, and he was the first person. Commissioner McCurdy was the first person we came up to. He came up to us and greeted us. So just thank you. Thank you to the community and everybody that came out to support. We're still trying to seek justice for him, so we're staying in prayer for that. Thank you to my family, my pastors, everyone that just truly the outpour of love for him. He was a great kid. Sent him out to college, and he accomplished his dream, which was to go to college and play football. And I'm just happy that he was able to. Unfortunate circumstances happen, but I'm just glad that he was able to accomplish his dream. And he was an amazing kid.
Thank you. Let's give them another round of applause for their strength and their perseverance. It is important that you know that you are not alone as we collectively seek justice.
Commissioners, item 4 is to recognize Democracy Prep men's and women's basketball teams for their Division II state championship.
All right, next up, we'd like to invite the young athletes of Democracy Preparatory Academy men's and women's basketball team. On February 25th, Democracy Prep Blue Knights finished their season with a 64-58 victory in the Division II men's state title game at the Thomas & Mack Center, taking home the state championship. The Blue Knights were led to victory by their outstanding coach, Corey Duke, assistant coach Mark Coleman, who sadly passed away on February 4th, couldn't be there, but after a battle with cancer, but I'm sure he is proud and looking down upon you and smiling with so much pride. Democracy Prep's young men's 2022-2023 varsity roster includes Tristan Borders, Jamarion Taylor, Josiah Strouder, True Coleman, Xavier Rayford, Isaiah Barnes, Charles Williams, Ty Coleman, Caden Lee, and Davion Wallace, led by Athletic Director Jason Gibson. Please give them a round of applause and celebrate their victory as they come forward to be recognized. And on February 25th, as though that wasn't enough, Democracy Prep women's team also brought home the Division II state championship with a 57-40 victory in their final game of the season. They remained undefeated in their league throughout the entire season. This is the first state title victory for the women's basketball program at Democracy Prep. And this team's determination and energy was evident throughout the season, as we are incredibly proud to see everyone's hard work pay off. The 2022-2023 varsity roster includes, for the women, Micaiah Verdum, Ariana Washington, Kiana Lewis, Debria Griffin, Brianna Miles, Diamond Zullen, Madison Smith, Zayana Burrow, Soraya Soto, Zania Burrow, and Heaven Spencer. Please join me in giving all of them a round of applause for their accomplishments. We're going to let the athletic director say a few words, and one of the kids, one from the women and one from the men, to speak.
First, we would like to thank everybody for having us. It's definitely a great opportunity to be here and giving these kids the platform to show their talents and make sure that they're well known. This is the first time in history that we were able to accomplish 2 state titles in 1 year, both boys and girls. So I definitely want to give another round of applause for these young kids. They've been working tirelessly and endlessly. We also would like to say rest in peace to our lovely coach, Mark Coleman, who sadly passed away to cancer this year. And we'd like to dedicate one of these state championships, especially our boys state championship, to Mark Coleman alone. He's given great time and dedication to this sport and showed us differently or better ways for our young men. And we like to recognize Coach West, Coach Barron, Coach Frazier, Coach Duke, for being father figures, mentors, and leaders on and off the courts. So we'd like to thank you. And I'm going to allow Ms. Kiani Lewis to speak, even though Kiani, she's very shy, as we have a lot of freshmen. We have freshmen and sophomores that won these games. Who do we have to step up as this for our basketball team? Ari?
I will.
Give a few words about the season.
Okay. My sisterhood, these beautiful young ladies. No, okay, I got it. We worked really hard throughout the days and years, and we just want to thank our coaches for making us run for no reason sometimes. And we also just want to thank y'all for like doing everything, you know. And Coach Jocelyn was like a great mother figure to all of us. Was a great mother figure to all of us, and Juju was like our uncle, and Wes was like our grandfather, and all of our coaches, you know. And it just makes me so emotional. How good our coaches was, and we thank DPAC for showing us this big opportunity.
All right, thank you so much. Let's give them one more round of applause.
Commissioners, we have one additional recognition item. This is to present a proclamation to Eric Denman in recognition of National Surveyors Week. Commissioner Kirkpatrick.
Thank you. If I could ask Mr. Denman to come up. Mr. Denman's a constituent, and he's a long-time retired employee of Clark County, but, you know, as we heard earlier, retirement's not everything, and sometimes you got to do other stuff to keep going. So Mr. Denman is the Vice President of the Southern Nevada chapter of the Nevada Association of Land Surveyors. People don't realize everybody needs a land surveyor, and they don't even understand the value of what they do. So National Surveyors Week is March 19th through the 25th. This was originally put in place February 13th, 1984, and National Surveyors Week is celebrated the third Sunday in March every single year. The purpose of the week is to educate folks on the importance of what they do and how important is knowing where your land stakes are and all of that, because when you purchase your land, you're investing for the long term, and you want to make sure that you get what you think you're getting. But land surveyors go all the way back to the beginning of the country. So George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, they were land surveyors back in the colonial times. I always try to find a fast fact. We discussed this last night at the dinner table. But so it really is something, and it records the history and the plot of your land. And so a lot of times our land surveyors go unrecognized, but I wanted to do my part to try and recognize them as well as my constituents. So thank you, Eric, for all that you continue to do. And on behalf of Clark County, thank you for accepting this, and please let the land surveyors know that we appreciate them.
Thank you.
You never had the microphone before, huh?
Not the loose one. Thank you guys so much. Land surveying has been, I personally have been a land surveyor for over 2 decades, and I got my career in land surveying started right here in Clark County. The Clark County Surveying Department is incredible, bringing up new surveyors. The state of Nevada has embraced this profession with all the federal lands that we own. It is critical in figuring out and moving forward all the development involved. But not only for myself, the association, Nevada Association of Land Surveyors, I'm here on behalf. We're celebrating our 50 year in service this year. So the Nevada Association has been fundamental in bringing up land surveyors, continuing the education. We put scholarships out there, really outreach program. So we're trying to continue to bring up this ever important profession and take it to the next generation. So with this, I can't thank you enough, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So the next item on our agenda is public comment. This is our first public comment, and we would ask you to tell us which item on the agenda you're speaking to, because this is the public comment period that is set aside for comment on items on the agenda. Please know that any item other than 44, 45, 46, and 47 must be addressed if you wish to speak on those items during the public comment period. 44 through 47 are public hearing items, and we will take testimony on those if you wish to testify at that time. Please state your name, give us the item number, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. As you know, I'm fighting a battle for my life and for my children in the state of Nevada, trying to have living arrangements here that I have paid out of my pocket. This picture here, you had this gentleman come, that was a judge, Robert G. Gates, is on this picture here. If you can put it on the scanner there so the public can see. And this lady here, she's Jamil DeJohn. She has several names, Jamil Guy. They wrote Fame, the judge, and this lady here. She owes me the $3 million that he first gave to her. It's my research. And they're saying that Gary Coleman is my child. They started this network, and Shannon Hughes is Shannon Price that married Gary Coleman. And I wanted to speak also upon, I wanted to read first number 1. This is a matter that has been submitted to the courts on September 24th, 1981, and the court have taken said matter under advice, hereby ordered October 14, 1980, that petition for judicial review is granted, and the decision rendered by the review board denying plaintiff claim is in reverse. This is concerning my court order A204984 that Shannon and Judge Robert G. Gates. I've been doing research. Now, Maryland, these pictures here points directly to you. One reason why I'm asking you for the property deed to 1316 Wizard, because you're under Melissa Ingeberstein and also Marilyn Kirkpatrick that opened the door for me in receiving this property. As I told you before, I'm fighting for my life and a place to stay in Las Vegas, Nevada. This points to Maryland. This is Melissa Inghamston when she comes to me at Creative Realties, and emerging with Steve Wynn and Glenda Lee Gates of the judge. And this is Maryland of today. And the judge opened up this fame network with Shannon Moore that's taken my life and given me none.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Ma'am, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during this public comment period? If so, please come forward. Yes, good morning.
Good morning. I'm speaking on item 50, the appointment of Lorena Portillo to the Registrar of Voters. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm April Parra, Elections Administrator for the City of Henderson, and I'm here today on behalf of the Henderson City Clerk's... I'm here on behalf of the Henderson City Clerk's Office to voice our support of the appointment of Lorena Portillo as the new Registrar of Voters for Clark County. Over the course of the 2022 election cycle and throughout the current 2023 Ward 1 special election, we have come to work closely with Ms. Portillo and the entire elections team. Lorena has proven herself to be an excellent leader and partner. Ms. Portillo always makes herself available and recently participated in a tabletop exercise to develop the City of Henderson Emergency Preparedness Action Plan for our Ward 1 special election. Due to her vast experience, Lorena was able to provide our emergency management team with valuable insight and feedback. Ms. Portillo is dedicated to her community and always leads with kindness and integrity. She is approachable and highly respected by her colleagues. Ms. Portillo is the perfect person to fill the very important role of the Clark County Registrar of Voters and to ensure the administration of free and fair elections to all the residents of Clark County, Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during this time?
Good morning, Jacqueline Flores for the Greater Las Vegas Short-Term Rental Association. I'm speaking in regards to item, I believe it's 47, thank you, which is the approval of the commissioners to appeal the decision by the district court related to short-term rentals. You know, it's unfortunate that the county continues to fight this and waste more taxpayers' money instead of working in good faith with the association and the property owners of these short-term rentals. We have reached out countless of times to work together and come up with a solution, and we just want to express our disappointment with the commissioners that instead of working together with us, you're choosing to continue more litigation and waste more taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get a copy?
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Ed Euling. I'm also here to speak on item 47. That item has to be withdrawn from the agenda. You're breaking the law by hearing that, and I passed out the NRS statute, which requires a business impact statement and to advise us 30 days ahead of time of any amendment to an ordinance. That's what you're doing. This is an amendment of an ordinance. Well, you can't even follow the Constitution. The judge told you you broke the law of the Constitution. Who expects you would be able to obey the simple regulations imposed by the state? The 23-page BIS manual makes everything clear. Please read that. The specific regulation requiring 30-day notice of amendments is what I just handed out to you. You didn't even give 7 days notice, much less 30 days notice. The bad faith and abandonment of your most basic duties. Read the ethics, government ethics. The first item in government ethics is you act on behalf of the people. It doesn't say you act on behalf of the biggest corporations in the city. The war you have been carrying out with your every move against small business and entrepreneurship in the county in favor of some of the largest corporations in the world, your predisposition to vote for item number 47, regardless of any rules or of anything the people have to say, your unbelievably corrupt team of attorneys. There's not enough time to go into detail about that, but these people are so low, these attorneys, that while they were making excuses for not answering our lawsuit, they actually used their taxpayer-funded money to submit a criminal lawsuit against the leader of our group, which was dismissed by the judge in 2 minutes. It was an outrage. There's a long history of political leadership, community and industry, casino industry, all working together here in Clark County. There was a long time when the political leadership had the fortitude to confront directly the unconstitutional actions of the people in Washington, D.C. When I was a kid and no one even uttered the word divorce, these people, our leaders, invented no-fault divorce against the corrupt moral grain of the other 47 states of the Union. They confronted Joe McCarthy and Senator Kefauver head on. You and your wimpy casino giants, on the other hand, are classic cowards.
Thank you, Mr.
employing
Euling.
third-world tactics.
Thank you, Mr. Euling. Okay. Item 47 is for introduction only. No vote. It can be introduced. Are there any other people who wish to speak during this public comment period? Mr. Euling. Are there any others who wish to speak during the public comment period? Yes? Anyone who wishes to speak should come down to the microphone. State your name for us, please.
My name is Tina Turnbull. I've lived and invested in rental properties in Clark County since 2008, and I'm here to talk about short-term rentals. The pre-application period just ended, and I have a concern that we might have had fewer than expected applications. And my concern with that is that I want this to be profitable for Clark County. I think it's a huge opportunity to receive tax revenue, licensing fees, and if we don't have enough licenses issued, you're not going to have the funding coming in for enforcement, which will ultimately shut down all the illegal Airbnbs, which is why we started the whole thing in the first place. So I wanted to suggest some ways that if we don't have enough applications, we can give some more licenses. And one of those issues is offering more than one license per entity. Another one is reducing the 1,000-foot minimum, because basically short-term rentals are held to a much higher standard than any house in Clark County. The rules are higher than any of my neighbors, and 1,000 feet might not be necessary. I just want to get as many licenses out there so we can get the tax revenue and the money coming in to support Clark County and make this all profitable for everyone. A lot of us hosts show up here and we speak because we're super passionate about what we do, and our livelihood is on the line, and I just want you to consider that moving forward with your decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frances Dean, and I too am here to speak on item number 47. The question I have, though, is this morning we saw Andy Walsh getting honored, who is the assistant sheriff. We saw another batch of people getting a proclamation due to gun violence. It's been brought to my attention that the Clark County Commission has Metro delivering letters that could either be sent through the mail or given to the constable's office to deliver to short-term rental people, but no, you guys have Metro doing it. One would assume that their resources would be better applied to solving the crimes that we saw from this morning, right? What is Metro doing? I think this is deplorable, and I do hope that Kevin McMahill will look into it, and you too, Mr. GIBSON, because you know what? This is on you. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair GIBSON, Liquor and Gaming Chair McCurdy, and my district commissioner, Sager Bloom, and all the honorable commissioners. My name is Derek Stonebarger, and I'm here to speak on item number 46 in my support. I am a tavern owner. I own Rebar with my wife and Davies on Main Street in the Arts District. And just last week, we signed a 20-year lease for our new project. We're literally staking our claim, pun intended, with a new steakhouse that will be called Artie's inside of Commercial Center. It's nearly a 10,000 square foot anchor location that will be home to potentially up to 5,000 original artworks by local art and world famous artists, including a 1930s Lincoln painting that was sold in the Waldorf Astoria. It's a masterpiece. A 1930s dinosaur that came from Lonnie Hammergren's house and was featured in Bringing Up Baby with Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. And also, besides local art, it will have the COVID murals, which were created when the whole world shut down a few years ago. We plan to make significant investment in the area, in this 30-acre community, not just in our space, but in the community. We've done it before. We did it in the Arts District. I was a partner at Atomic Liquors as well. I do believe that the vote today is a huge step for the overall redevelopment of this historic area, and I want to thank all of you and commend you for considering it. With the passing of this bill or ordinance, you're creating an amazing opportunity for unique businesses like Artie's to help revitalize the area and craft exactly what I think is needed in the area. It's a focus on art, culture, and community. So once again, I'm Derek Stonebarger, speaking on behalf with my wife. We are filling out the application right now. If this passes, we will be hopefully one of the first to turn in to try to acquire one of these licenses for our new business in the historic commercial center. I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak today. And even though this is the first time I've ever spoken in front of the commission here, you probably won't be the last. I'll even be here if you have any questions or comments from me for the agenda item number 46. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning. Would you stand in front of one of the microphones, please?
Sure will. My name's Michael Picard. I recently graduated from UNLV. My depths of interest were archaeology and elementary education. I've been in the state all my life, 65 years, watched what the contractors are digging up. And what I found is that they are digging up an ancient civilization, believe it or not, and whose world was made out of caliche. When they're digging a hole into the ground and they go through a 2-foot layer and 10 foot more, they find another 2-foot layer and they keep going down, find different layers. These are the floors and ceilings. When they're digging a trench and they find a vertical 2-foot layer and then another vertical 2-foot layer, they're walking through the walls. Now, economics trumps history, so no one wants to pay attention to what I have to say when it comes to this, and I don't want to slow down no construction projects, but I need to have these artifacts collected, and I brought 2 in, and they were a little nervous about my purpose for this. I don't know if this can be seen. And this here is Cactus Joe's, where I've been collecting these artifacts. And these are picture books done in shadow art. This white caliche, when you find it, it's in a mud ball. I take a high-pressure washer, clean it off, get down to the depth. And when you start putting light on it in the right perspective, you'll see the shadow images coming out. The Las Vegas Arts Council has recently put me on their list of special presenters. And I need some help from the public. I'm trying to get more stories on the underground story of Las Vegas. Contractors who run into things that make them go, I wonder how this got here. Like asphalt rooms that a water truck has fallen into, asphalt roads that are 20 foot under the ground and 4 foot of asphalt, or 10 inches of asphalt, about 10 foot wide on both sides of the trench. And saying, how did the asphalt get down on this level? People aren't paying attention to what they're digging up. I have been, and I'm hoping that the community, if they have any stories about unusual things found in the valley, if they could contact the Las Vegas Rockman at gmail.com, it'd surely be appreciated. And it'd go into my book called The Underground Story of Las Vegas. And that's why I'm here today, just to get the word out, and maybe contractors will pay attention. I thank you for your time. I'm out of here.
Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners, or good afternoon, good morning. Sorry, not feeling too well today. My name is Louis Korndike, and I'm the co-founder of the Greater Las Vegas Short-Term Rental Association. I'm going to do my best to choose my words very carefully. I know you can get very sensitive sometimes when I speak. I want to try my best to show my respect. But I must say, I am disappointed in each and every one of you and the behavior you've been exhibiting towards us in the last few months. In spite of repeated requests by our attorneys to sit down and speak with us, you've absolutely refused to do so. Even at the request of the Honorable Judge Peterson to please speak with us, you still have not even honored her request to do so. I understand you guys hold the reins of power in this state, and you're wielding that power quite liberally. But I'm still asking that you just have conversations with us. And now the fact that you're even sending, not even just code enforcement, but now Metro knocking on Airbnbs or suspected Airbnbs doors and casing the neighborhood and talking to all the neighbors and asking the neighbors to please call 311 if they suspect they're operating their property illegally. And when we say illegally, I want to remind you that these are all law-abiding citizens, that you all created laws criminalizing these law-abiding citizens. Now, I want to do my best to show my respect, because we've been working very hard at this for quite some time. And it's sad that we now had to go to the courts to look for judicial relief of some kind. I hope in the future that we can have conversations. I do have one question, please. I would love to know who gave the order to start using taxpayer dollars to take Metro off the streets and start going to Airbnbs. I'm looking at Michael Naft, and he's got a puzzled look on his face, like this is the first time he's heard of this. So I'll be very interested to see how everybody else feels about this and what, in fact, you do know about it. I won't take any more of your time today. Look forward to speaking with you more in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this morning during the public comment period? Then we'll move on.
Commissioners, we can now move to the agenda section. Item 6 is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on February 21st, 2023.
There's a motion for approval by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion on the motion? Please cast your votes. The motion carries.
Item 7 is approval of the agenda with the inclusion of any emergency items and deletion of any items. For the record, I would like to read a correction on item 25 under your consent agenda. Under the item recommendation, generally located on the northwest corner of Betty Lane, should be changed to read generally located on the northeast corner of Betty Lane. Secondly, for the record, I'd like to read a correction on item 47 under your introduction of ordinances. Under section 1, the reference to section 7.100.030 shall be deleted. And on page 13, under section 7.100.200, subsection B, the reference to section 7.100.070, subsection H, should be deleted and replaced with section 7.100.100, subsection H, as the correct section reference.
Thank you. Are there other changes at all? There's a motion for approval. Please cast your votes. And the motion carries.
We can now move to your consent agenda. This consists of items number 8 through 43. We currently have no items to be deleted or any items to be taken separately.
And at the pleasure of the board, are there items to be deleted or moved? If none, I'd accept a motion. There's a motion for approval of the consent agenda by Commissioner Jones. Please cast your votes. And the motion carries.
Commissioners, it's now past 10 a.m. We can move to the public hearing section of your agenda. Item 44 is to conduct a public hearing to review the project recommendations of the Community Development Advisory Committee and select projects for inclusion in Clark County's application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and to the State of Nevada Housing Division for a total of approximately $8,990,147 in FY 2023-224 home AHTF program monies and prior years of unspent funds for the reallocation. Authorize staff to prepare and submit the applications per HUD and State of Nevada deadlines and requirements, and authorize the county manager or designee to execute any necessary agreements.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Medill, and I'm a grants coordinator with Community Resource Management, Division of Social Service. I'd like to give you a brief summary of the process. On November 30th, Clark County advertised nonprofit agencies and local government entities to apply for home and AFT funds. The application submission deadline was January 2nd, 2023. On January 17th, the Community Development Advisory Committee, CDAC, received presentations and materials from all 13 applicants and were able to ask questions. On February 21st, 2023, the CDAC committee convened to discuss all projects and make finalized recommendations. I'd like to introduce the CDAC co-chair, Mr. Christopher Lee, and he'll provide you an overview of the projects that were approved and recommended by CDAC.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. There are 6 projects being recommended by CDAC to create a total of 631 new units. 2 affordable senior housing projects will create 254 units. Affordable permanent supportive housing project will create 50 new units. 2 affordable apartments will create 277 new units, and 1 project will provide affordable intergenerational housing, which will create 50 units. The total home discretionary project funds recommendation is $5,196,731. And if you have any questions, let me know.
And are there questions of anyone? Thank you very much for the presentation. There may come up something if you just stand by. This is a public hearing which is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to testify on this item? There being no one, the public hearing is closed.
Commissioners, item 45 is to conduct a public hearing to review the project.
Wait. So, is there anything more from any of you?
Thank you. I just want to note that this is exactly in line with what this board has asked in order to make sure that we have permanent supportive housing and affordable housing in our community, and I will go ahead and make a motion for approval.
Good. Thank you very much for your work. There's a motion for approval by Commissioner Jones. Please cast your votes. And the motion carries.
Commissioners, now we'll move to item 45, conduct a public hearing to review the project recommendations of the Community Development Advisory Committee and select projects for inclusion into the FY 2023 HUD Action Plan for the total of $707,992 in FY 23-24 Emergency Solutions Grant Program funds to provide rapid rehousing, emergency shelter, and HMIS for individuals and families who are experiencing homelessness or at risk of entering homelessness, accept grant funds, and authorize the county manager or his designee to execute any necessary agreements.
Morning.
Good morning. My name is Karen Schneider. I'm the manager of the Community Resources Management Unit at Social Service. This is the annual item that we bring to you for our Emergency Solutions Grant Program. Following is a brief summary of the ESG grant application process. On December 21st, 2022, Clark County advertised for nonprofit agencies and local government entities to apply for emergency solutions grant funds from HUD. The application submission deadline was January 5th, 2023. On January 17th, 2023, the Community Development Advisory Committee, or CDAC, and the Continuum of Care Evaluation Working Group Subcommittee convened to discuss all the projects and make their final recommendations. The CDAC and the COC ad hoc committee from the Evaluation Working Group did a great job this year, as usual. They thoughtfully reviewed each application and have made recommendations on funding. This will be a public hearing, but before that, I would like to again introduce CDAC co-chair Christopher Lee, and he will provide an overview of the projects proposed.
Thank you, Commissioners. The target population for the services for this application were determined by national priorities to provide emergency shelter and rapid rehousing for youth, victims of domestic violence, and intact families. As was noted, there are 9 applications submitted with 8 projects that are being recommended by CDAC, 5 emergency shelter and 3 rapid rehousing. In addition to these services, ESG funds are also proposing to cover alternative HMIS database for domestic violence providers and administration. And the total project funds recommended is $707,992.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Kirkpatrick has a question or two.
Thank you. I do have a couple of questions because I think that goes unnoticed on what we do for transitional housing, emergency shelter. So maybe you don't have the answer today, but like, how many beds is this? Because what people don't realize, if someone's house catches on fire, we also have to find them a location, and this is not just one type of homelessness. This is a big variety, and it's a small dent that we try to make every year on top of other dollars. So I would just be curious in the future, but I'd like something next week maybe, how many people that we're helping, because people I don't think the rest of Clark County understands what this board does. So could enlighten me, especially like on the youth, because right, are those permanent beds, or I mean, what do we got to do? So I just think it's a conversation we're going to have a bigger discussion about.
Yes, absolutely, we can provide that, and as a matter of fact, we've just finished pulling together some numbers for the state on all of our programs to include ESG, which is what we're talking about today. And these dollars are for emergency shelter beds. Some of them do include youth shelter beds, as well as rapid rehousing programs, and some of them are also for homeless youth. So we'd be glad to get you those numbers by the end of the day.
Perfect. I want to see what the state's getting, so, great, thank you.
Thank you. Are there other questions? Thank you. Just stand by and we'll have a public hearing now. So this item is on for a public hearing, which is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to offer a statement or testimony on the item? There being no one, the public hearing is closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to both CDAC and our social services team. And I'll go ahead and make a motion for approval, agenda item number 45.
There's a motion for approval by Commissioner Jones. Please cast your votes. Motion carries.
Commissioners, item 46 is to conduct a public hearing and approve, adopt, and authorize the chair to sign an ordinance to amend Clark County Code Title 8, Chapter 8.20, Section 8.20.295 to allow for a total of 6 tavern licenses in commercial developments with specified criteria and providing for other matters properly related thereto. Commission District D.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Vince Chiano, Director of Business License. Just a quick brief on the proposed ordinance. Currently, Clark County Code 8.20.295, Section A, distance restrictions for tavern licenses state that no tavern license shall be issued in the county unless the main entry door of the prospective tavern be not less than 2,000-foot radius from the main entry door of the nearest existing tavern and or non-conforming tavern location. The proposal before the Board of County Commission for the addition of 8.20.295 Section I to distance restrictions for tavern licenses state 6 tavern licenses may be issued in a commercial development located within the area designated as the Winchester Redevelopment Area 1 and consists of at least 30 acres, all of which share a common parking lot. This change is intended to address deficiencies in this sector by revitalizing the Winchester Redevelopment Area 1 by transforming the commercial center into an entertainment district. This addition will allow for 6 taverns, all of which can have up to 15 bar-top gaming machines. There are currently 3 taverns licensed in the commercial center, so this change will allow for an additional 3 taverns without any distance requirements between the businesses. The business impact statement was sent on January 18, 2023 and concluded on February 8, 2023. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any?
Before we go to the public hearing, I want to turn the mic over to the chairman of the Liquor and Gaming Board.
Thank you. Are there any members on the board who have any questions this time?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear from what the public concerns are, so then maybe we can ask our Director of Business Licensing after the public comments closed.
That might be helpful. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to comment on this portion of the agenda?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Mark Rubenstein of the law firm of I almost said Lionel Sawyer and Collins. It's been a while. Reed Rubenstein and Bogatz, appearing on behalf of the Nevada Resort Association. With me today in the audience is Virginia Valentine, the president of the association, and some of the representatives of our membership. In your material is a letter from Ms. Valentine that was submitted in connection with the business impact statement for this proposed ordinance. The letter is all of 4 pages explaining why the Resort Association and its members oppose the proposed ordinance. But that letter could just as easily have been 40 pages as it was 4. The letter summarizes more than 35 years of legislative and regulatory actions that consistently reinforce the notion that restricted gaming is just that. It's restricted. And none of that was done to pick on or punish taverns or other smaller locations that offer a limited number of gaming devices. No, to the contrary, it has been done over and over and over again to reinforce the notion that the state and local governments view non-restricted gaming as the way to promote investment, create a large number of jobs, generate tax revenue, and in general, stimulate and perpetuate economic growth. I'd like to take a moment to present some data from the Resort Association's 2021 Nevada Gaming Fact Book. And keep in mind that these numbers, while extremely impressive, do not reflect the recovery that has been experienced in the tourism sector of Southern Nevada over the last year and a half. May I move this? First is a snapshot of the industry that shows the tremendous visitor volume, the investments, and the share of gross gaming revenue generated by resort association members, as well as the impacts of 433,400 total jobs, direct and indirect, nearly $20 billion in wage payments, and a grand total of $73 billion in total economic output. Next, I'd like to show the chart of the largest property tax payers in Clark County, and as you can see, 10 of the top 20 and 8 of the top 10 are casino resorts. Finally, the capital investment. This is as of 2021. There were $15.5 billion in planned and under construction tourism expenditures, 42 projects, and Nevada's future tourism projects, primarily, may I go on? Thank you. It's very...
You just take 30 seconds to wrap it up.
I'm sorry?
Take a few more seconds to wrap it up.
Okay, I had a much longer presentation, but basically the point of all this is that in 40 years we've seen a consistent effort to draw a very bright line between restricted and non-restricted locations. And what this proposed ordinance does is it jeopardizes and blurs that bright line, because what you've got now is a situation where you can have up to 90 slot machines in a single location. And what I mean by that is if the operators are smart, and they are very smart, they'll build something with a shared patio, for example, and now you've got a small casino. And it's not like there aren't enough taverns in this area to begin with. You've got 3 already, and the area still failed.
So we got to wrap it up.
Okay, lastly, I'd like to point...
I'm sorry. We got to move on. Thank you. Which you're welcome to submit any comments you have in addition to the letter that's been provided. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward during this time?
Yes, my name is Ed Euling. I want to congratulate the board, and particularly Tick Sagerbloom, for coming up with this ordinance. Finally, we're doing something to overcome these ridiculous 2,000-foot differences in locations of drinking establishments. This causes people to have to drive all over the county in order to do things. And here is an opportunity to bring those closer together so people don't have to do this, and Mr. Naft won't have to. You can quit pandering to the developers who want this 2,000-foot separation, and you can satisfy Mr. Naft's interest in having fewer fatalities on the highway. So congratulations for doing that. This is an important ordinance. The Resort Association, however, does have a point, apparently. You should consider, does 90 machines constitute a gaming establishment? I think that should be taken into consideration. And it's very easy to deal with that. If you decide that that's really a factor, limit the number of machines that can be in each of these establishments to 5 or to 3 or to 7 rather than 15. I think the Resort Association has a point here. I think, but I don't know. Anyway, thank you for proposing finally. 30 years I've been attending these meetings, and the commission pandering to the casino, to the casinos, and to the developers of this county. And finally we're breaking through that, that barrier. Thank you. And, oh, by the way, how come some guy gets to speak longer than other people?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Virginia Valentine. I'm President of the Nevada Resort Association, and I'd like to thank Mr. Euling this morning for underscoring our point, because I do think it is important not to blur the line between a restricted and a non-restricted location. I would also like to point out that the idea that gaming alone in Commercial Center, when there are already 3 gaming establishments there, the idea that that will revitalize the area, I think is subject to question. Look no further than the Arts District, where I believe there is only 1 gaming licensee. However, that area has thrived. It has been revitalized. It's an amazing area. I don't think that gaming alone revitalizes an area. So just want to put that on the record and thank you all for your time this morning and listening to us. And again, I want to thank Mr. Euling because not very often I get the opportunity to do that.
All right, is there anyone else at this time? We will now close the public hearing and entertain comments from the board. Commissioner Segerblum.
Thank you, Commissioner McCurdy. I brought this ordinance forward for several reasons, but primarily because Commercial Center, which historically was a very vibrant area, has become very rundown during the past several decades. And we're trying to revitalize it. This is one way we can do that without having to use taxpayer money. As you recall, a year ago, there were 11 people shot in a hookah lounge in Commercial Center. One of the problems is that there's no 24-hour presence. These taverns, which each will have 15 slot machines in the bar, they're not separate slot machines, they're in the bar, will provide the visibility of people coming there 24/7 and increase the visibility and hopefully help revitalize that area. As you know, right next to there, between Commercial Center and the Strip, is what they call the Forest, which is actually the most dangerous part in Clark County. Lots of apartment buildings that have been run down, and lots of drug deals, lots of things happening there. We're trying to push that back too. So this is part of an overall effort. The other thing that's important about this ordinance is that it's strictly limited to Commercial Center. It's for an area that is in the redevelopment area, which this is, and it's also for an area where it has a common parking lot, which the county owns. So this is actually something which is going to benefit us as the county taxpayers because we actually have to pave that parking lot, and this will help us with revenue for that. So I think it's really important to do this. It's 45 additional slot machines in a city, in a county, in a state that has hundreds of thousands of slot machines. It's not going to break the back. It's not going to be the nose under the tent because this is strictly limited to a redevelopment area of 30 acres, which is the only place in Clark County is Commercial Center. It's limited to a place that has a common parking lot, and so it's going to help us create an entertainment district, which we're trying to do. Just final point I want to make is that it's ironic that we're trying to prevent or to promote a redevelopment area without even using taxpayer money, when I know there's been talk about using the same redevelopment area to promote development on the Strip. So I think they can't have it both ways. If they want us to help encourage the Strip with the redevelopment area, then they ought to be a little bit more supportive of using this, allowing us to do something, create an entertainment district, add 45 slot machines in the tables. It's not going to break anybody's back, and hopefully, as Mr. Stonebarger said, enable him to bring back a steak restaurant. These are all going to be individual owned taverns. They're going to have themes towards entertainment, but at the end of the day, I think it's something that is very vital. So I would urge people to vote for it.
Commissioner Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, I just want to ask a couple of questions of Vince. So section, on page 3, section, is it I or L? G, section G1, So am I reading that correctly? So they'll be standalone, so there'll be no sharing of the kitchens, even if they are close? It has to have a separate front door, a separate kitchen, correct? I mean, that's the way I'm reading it, but I want to make sure, because at the health district, if they were sharing kitchens, then that would be a commissary license, and so I want to make sure that that point is clear.
That language, Madam Chair, sorry, Commissioner, thinking of the health district here.
Yeah.
But Vince Keanu again for the record. That refers to a tavern restaurant with billiards. Currently, there is no language that prevents basically two businesses sharing a common wall or a common kitchen. So,
Well, I guess I just want to ask the ordinance sponsors, that's not the intent, though. The intent is,
No, the intent is to have 3 separate restaurant bars.
and entrances, okay. And then the other thing is, look, it's the craziest thing, because I don't even support redevelopment, and that's no secret to anybody. But I feel like we got to try and do something to bring that, and this is on 30 acres. So I guess legal, I would ask the question is, does it make sense in the definition of where this is allowed to say that specifically it's a redevelopment area that's county owned, or is the definition that we have good enough?
The definition we have is good enough because it's defined by the Winchester redevelopment area. And that's defined.
And so they'll go ahead and just apply, right? And will it be a special use, or is it they'll apply and then they'll have to go through liquor and gaming board? What's the process, I guess? Vince?
The process, Commissioner, is it's on a first come first served basis. It's a C2 zone, so it doesn't go through a special use permit. Comprehensive plan will just make that determination that the alcohol consumption use is appropriate for that location.
Okay.
Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I absolutely support redevelopment in the commercial center area. I think putting in an entertainment district would be great. And I would love to hear from my colleague, bring back an agenda item, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, to really talk about what we're doing in the redevelopment agency and in commercial center in particular, because I think it's an asset of the county, not just of Commissioner Sutherland's district. With regards to this, I fully support having more bars together. It's something that you and I, Mr. Keanu, have discussed on Spring Mountain, which I would note in terms of the camel's nose under the tent. We will have a presentation coming in the next month or two about expansion of our redevelopment areas, which would include, amongst others, Spring Mountain. And so I would certainly support allowing for more bars to be located next to each other, like Mr. Stonebarger's bars down on in the Main Street area. But with regards to gaming devices, I do have serious concerns that this is creating a precedent, even if we're trying to carve it out for one special area, because it could just be carved out for any area across town if that's what we decided. So I have concerns with the gaming aspect of this request.
Commissioner Knapp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since it was brought up by Mr. Euling, I actually would like to see fatalities reduced everywhere, not just on highways, but I appreciate the sentiment. And I also tend to think if this is about security and 24-hour uses, I have no problem with that. I think there are 24-hour uses that could probably help that area, but I don't think that's what is being asked of us here. And I guess, could you, Mr. Keanu, speak a little bit to, there are other options other than a tavern license or just a retail. Isn't a supper club give you the option to have 5 tabletops?
Yes, Commissioner. So a supper club liquor license, it's the primary operation would be a restaurant with a bar operation, and that type of license is permitted to have 5 bar top machines. But there's also a a food to alcohol sales ratio. I believe it's the 5149, so food.
It's an
alcohol
ancillary
sales-
use.
Correct. So the alcohol sales may not exceed the food sales, but there's also we do have a full service liquor license, full service bar liquor license also, which is, it's basically, it's only allowed for certain regional commercial centers, and that allows for bar operation, but without the gaming.
Okay. And just for kind of to lay some precedent, I've had in my district quite a few operators come to me with this. Town Square is one example. For years now, they've asked, before I was at the county, to extend the number of tavern licenses, and I just hadn't supported it. Thank you.
Commissioner Miller.
So I guess following up on that point, with the number of supper licenses that would potentially be available, there is no limitation on the number that would be available in commercial center, is that correct?
For supper club liquor licenses?
Correct.
Correct.
So theoretically, I mean, we've heard testimony that this is 90 slot machines that could be concentrated tightly together. In reality, we could see an unlimited number of supper club licenses, each with 5 slot machines into that area, which could even far surpass the 90 slot machines that are of area concern.
That's correct, Commissioner. There's no distance restrictions between supper club.
Okay, and there are already quite a considerable number of slot machines in that area, correct? You get the Eureka Casino next door that has 500 slot machines. You have XL Liquors, which has 4 to 5 slot machines. There's an Albertsons that was shuttered that would allow upwards of 10, is that right?
That's correct. There's 8 other gaming establishments within a 2,000-foot radius from the commercial center with gaming.
And with respect to the 90 slot machines that was referenced, that would include the 3 tavern licenses that you mentioned. The reality is that those 3, which are grandfathered in, are located, I mean, they couldn't be located further apart from each other, right? One's at the far northeast corner of Commercial Center, one's directly in the center adjacent to Sahara, and then the Square Bar is on the far southwest corner of Commercial Center. So, I mean, those are already distributed. So the concern that you would somehow consolidate 90 slot machines together isn't feasible, is it?
No, Commissioner. So the 3 that's currently licensed are, as you mentioned, are already separated by a number of feet. And so the addition of the 45 machines would be between 3 additional taverns. If the commission is concerned about having the 3 additional taverns maybe being lumped together as creating somewhat, I don't know, mini casino, then I would defer to council, see if we can add language to ensure that these additional taverns aren't close together. So maybe, like as I suggested, maybe to add language where we can prevent tavern licensees from sharing a common wall or a kitchen.
Okay, so we could ask legal potentially to bring back clarification on that issue?
If we're going to put something like that in code, it would have to come back for a change, so but you guys could still pass it, and then there could be a change if there needed to be clarification.
Okay.
Based on that.
Because I think the other part that had surfaced before was whether or not we want to impose development standards with respect to this district, which we're working on and we anticipate coming. But we could link the issuance of those tavern licenses as a requirement to comply with the development standards so that it would align with the goals and objectives of the redevelopment district. Is that also permissible?
That would be permissible.
Okay, great, thank you. And finally, just state that I certainly understand the concerns that gaming in this limited capacity doesn't have a direct tie with economic development. And I've heard that argument. In this instance, however, we do have an applicant who's indicated this morning he's willing to sign a 20-year lease. And try to put forward some real capital to try to improve the area, which is what we need. And as I understand it, the approval of additional tavern licenses are really the only thing that makes it pencil for him. So, based on those concerns and the overriding objective of trying to move this forward, I intend to support the Commissioner Segerbloom's ordinance.
Yeah,
Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to follow up on that comment. Again, this is why I would love to have this redevelopment agency discussion come up, because when we're talking about penciling, you can make anything pencil if we put funds into it and we have redevelopment agency dollars, and the whole point of redevelopment agency dollars is to improve a community like this. And so if that means putting some money into TIs for a project, then that's a way to make something pencil. So I'd rather have a larger discussion about this than just focus on this issue.
Is there anyone else? Seeing none, please cast your vote.
Wait a minute.
Oh, public comment. It's closed.
Sorry, I thought you saw me. Again, Francis Dean. I'd like to speak on number 46.
I'm sorry. The public comment period is closed at this time.
We don't need any more liquor licenses in Tix District. We don't.
All right, we will now move to a vote.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask for some clarification? So we did close the public comment
We did.
after Mr. Euling, because I waited to ask my questions until we had closed it so I could talk to our business license person. So one, that record is clear. And then two, we kind of need a motion,
Yeah.
right? So is that what you're calling for, is a motion?
From the sponsor.
Okay.
I would move to approve the ordinance listed in item 46.
Can I just clarify one more thing? So, and knowing that you're going to come back with some cleanup language, is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
Commissioners, we can now move to introduction of ordinances. Item 47 is an ordinance to amend Title 7, Chapter 7.100 of the Clark County Code relating to the regulation of short-term rentals in residential areas, to revise or clarify provisions concerning application requirements, notice requirements, and procedures for inspections, license issuance or denial, operation and prohibited conduct of short-term rental, and providing for other matters properly related thereto, and set a public hearing.
I'll introduce the ordinance and set the public hearing for April 4th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
We can now move to the business section of your agenda. Item 48 is to identify emerging issues to be addressed by staff or by the board at future meetings, receive updates on the activities of various regional boards and commissions, and direct staff accordingly.
Commissioner McCurdy.
Nothing here.
Commissioner Knapp. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to give a quick update with regards to the Regional Transportation Commission. Last month, the RTC signed a new contract for operations of its fixed route and other transportation systems with First Transit, which is merging with TransDev. So over the next couple of months, you will see transition of the bus service to a new operator, and the drivers, mechanics, and other employees that are currently of the operators will be offered to the new operator, and you shouldn't see any interruption in services. But if any of my colleagues on the board have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Commissioner Kirkpatrick. Commissioner Sagerblum.
Yes, just a couple items. We've been talking about for several months now the Animal Foundation and the problems that have occurred the last few months as far as animals control. It just seems like I'm getting continual calls from really well-intentioned people who are out there daily doing what we should be doing. And I just want to remind everybody that I think it's of the utmost emergency that we, as the county, decide whether we're going to stick with the Animal Foundation or not. And whatever it takes, we need to resolve this issue. These people are risking their lives really to go out and find these dogs that are being abandoned, being hurt, and we keep talking about it, but we haven't seemed to get anywhere. So I would urge the county staff to really push forward on that. And the second thing I want to mention is that it seems also that the homeless issue, the unhoused issue, has really become much more visible. Not sure if it's because of the spring, But we are doing the best we can, but I think we could probably use more resources as far as teams to go out to work on the washes. But ultimately, as the county manager has consistently said, we have to have a place where they can go. We can't just keep moving them, asking them to move, and trying to protect the neighborhoods, but we have to find some type of temporary, intermediate, and permanent housing. So, Kevin, the ball's in your court. You have 3 months.
Mr. Miller? I think just one other thing. We all know that in November we'll have our first Formula One race. The county has roadway projects that are both on its immediate schedule and when I say immediate, the next several years. There are other projects that will come later, but in the context of the racetrack, the county does have some avoided cost that it recognizes, and there will be a time when we bring an item before this board to approve an expenditure associated with that racetrack that, from the county's perspective, is the repaving of certain roadways that are important to us in the resort corridor. We'll be bringing something back in the next month that will memorialize and authorize the expenditure to the extent that we agree to pay monies. And I think it's important for us and for the community to understand. We haven't spent money, we haven't agreed, signed any documents, we've done nothing of that nature. We have had discussions, and we'll bring something back that will formalize what our arrangement will be, and we, of course, need to do that in the full view of the public. Other than that, I don't have anything more. So we're on to item 49.
Item 49, Commissioners, is to receive an update on community engagement and communication strategy for Clark County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jen Cooper, Chief Communications and Strategy Officer. So we continue to evolve this agenda item. I know that there's a lot of thought about where this video could be placed, so we're keeping it where it is for this board meeting, and then we'll make adjustments going forward. But this is the video of where you guys are engaging in your communities. Victor, if you can play it.
It's been a great couple weeks all around A. We've had some awesome ribbon cuttings and openings, including the opening of the firm, Public Relations and Marketing. We celebrated their 30 years in Clark County and their move to some beautiful new office space in District A. Also had the opportunity to tour Chop Value. This is a sustainable company that repurposes the chopsticks that we utilize throughout our community. They pick them up at small and large businesses alike. They recycle them and repurpose them. They're collecting over 5 million discarded chopsticks every year that will undergo the proprietary Chop Value process and be remanufactured. It's an incredible Clark County business. Coming up, we have some really exciting events for the whole community and the family to enjoy together as the weather gets nicer. We're going to be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Echo Trails Park with complimentary food, live music, games, vendors, lots of resources, and a farmer's market. That's at the corner of Buffalo and Russell in the Southwest. On April 1st from 10 to 1, Helen Meyer Community Center Family Fun Fair. Again, complimentary food, ice cream, cookies, cotton candy. We'll also have bounce houses, arts and crafts, climbing walls, games, and so much more. That center's at 4525 New Forest Drive. I'm really excited about on April 15th, we have Brunch and Blues is coming back to the West Flamingo Senior Center. Bring your blanket or chair. There'll be live music, balloon artists, bounce houses, games, and food cooked to order. Brunch for the first 200 participants will be available. Again, West Flamingo Senior Center on 6255 West Flamingo. And last, we have our next round of coffee and conversation on April 29th at 9 o'clock in the morning with special guest Assemblywoman Tracy May Brown. We'll be at Lemon Tree Cafe and Market at Buffalo and Sunset. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in the next couple weeks, and thank you so much. We'll see you all around A.
Welcome to District B. We're happy to be back. Hopefully everybody had a great St. Patrick's Day. For us in District B, we have a couple of things coming up real soon. One is our Young Women's Conference.
The Young Women's Leadership Expo is a fantastic opportunity for young ladies to really lean into who they are as leaders.
I wanted to be a part of the steering committee because I wanted to inspire other young women to like new opportunities and that it's okay to be different and you can still be great.
When I see this, it really raises your confidence. It helps you think about how you would like to live your life. It helps you think how to be a leader, how you like to lead.
I think it's gonna really help some girls get out of their comfort zone and build some confidence in themselves and feel like they could do this. They have the power to do anything in life.
I'm most excited about being able to connect with different young women in the community and also finding a mentor and the fashion show with different women-owned businesses.
I'm most excited about our key speaker, Shaq's mom. I'm probably about to ask her about how was it growing up like Shaq.
Every piece of this was designed by young ladies who are aspiring leaders for young ladies who are aspiring leaders.
Very excited about that. We know that there'll be a lot of girls with a lot of opportunities, so it's not too late to sign up. So it is March 25th, so please sign up if you can. We've been busy the last week or so. We went out and we had a town hall at Cora Coleman. We had a great attendance. Metro was there working on issues that are important to them, which include traffic, homelessness, people out in the neighborhood, and just overall making sure that they're safe in their community. Then we went on to our spring fling. It was a little bit wet, but it was okay. We still had a fairly decent turnout, but it was a lot of fun. We were excited to be there to cook some hamburgers and hot dogs for the kids, and they had a great time. Coming up though, we have our Northwest Country Fest, which you'll start hearing a lot about. It is on the 22nd of April, and right after that will be Cinco de Mayo, which is May 5th. But in between that, we get to celebrate our kids for the 27th year for Great American. That is the kids across Clark County District B that learn the Pledge of Allegiance, the Star Spangled Banner, the Gettysburg Address, the preamble, the states and capitals, and they have to know it, recite it, and be able to write it. So we'll show you more about that later, but we're excited for kids in District B. We also are sending our kids that have been doing the Penn Friends within District B to our camp that is up in Lincoln County. So you'll hear about that. Our first group of kids go on March 24th. And so we'll be able to send you some pictures and show you how they got that reward to go to our camp. So thanks for joining in for District B, and we look forward to seeing you out in the streets.
Hi District F. The past few weeks have been busy here in Clark County. Earlier this month, a group of leaders across Southern Nevada traveled to San Diego to meet with County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher and tour their behavioral health network across San Diego County. Their county is a leader in innovative behavioral health initiatives, and we were happy to learn about their projects. Thank you to Supervisor Fletcher and his entire team for having us. This past weekend, we hosted a successful park cleanup at Cashman Park. Thank you to all the volunteers for coming to keep our community clean and safe for all park users. Looking ahead, we have a few exciting events coming up. The annual Desert Breeze Egg Run will be taking place on Friday, March 31st. This event includes crafts, games, and more. Participants must register at Desert Breeze Community Center to receive event wristbands. Join us for a cleanup of Mountains Edge Regional Park in celebration of Earth Week on Friday, April 21st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We will be meeting at 8101 West Mountains Edge Parkway. Volunteers can enjoy giveaway prizes, music, and food provided by Your Panadas. To register, please visit getoutdoorsnevada.org. Tacos and Tamales is coming back to District F on April 29th at Desert Breeze Park. It was such a huge turnout last year. We're so excited for the park staff to bring this back to my district. For more information, please visit tacosandtamaleslv.com.
Last week, I participated in the Children's Week kickoff event in conjunction with DHHS and the Children's Cabinet to launch the Nevada Child Care Fund campaign. If there is one thing that is abundantly clear, it is that all of our communities, regardless of jurisdiction, are of the same mind regarding the importance of access to early child care for our children in our region, especially those children of working families. In Clark County, we're hearing about concerns about those who are struggling to find safe, affordable places for their children, not just to be cared for, but also where they can thrive and receive the kind of foundational development that will play a large role in their learning years ahead. I know I can say with certainty that this is a community problem for which we all play an important role in developing the solutions that will have a significant impact and will better the communities we're proud to call home. We've recently submitted a report with several recommendations that we would like considered to expand child care access and capacity in our state. One of the recommendations in our report is an emphasis on community outreach to increase knowledge of child care programs that benefit both employers and employees. In a statewide business survey that was conducted a few weeks ago, we learned that nearly half of all respondents, big and small businesses alike, specified that the lack of access to child care is an impediment to the hiring and retention of employees. 20% more identified child care as a potential impediment. Through this survey, a number of potential remedies were presented, including voucher programs to parents for child care, increasing wages for child care employees, employer tax credits for providing child care benefits, incentives for large businesses to offer on-site child care, and expanding child care programs in recreation centers, libraries, and other public spaces. These opportunities show us that we are joined together from a government and private sector perspective in solving this mounting challenge. Last Saturday, we held a free Wetlands Park Art Day. There were activities for all ages, from serious and aspiring artists to kids who love to create. There was live music, a youth art workshop, a gallery reception, a poetry workshop, and more. It was a great time for all who participated. This Friday, Commissioner Segerblum and I will be holding our free annual Spring Job Fair. Hi, I'm Clark County Commission Chairman Jim GIBSON.
And I'm Clark County Commissioner Tick Segerblum.
We want to help you meet face-to-face with employers so you can find your next big opportunity.
We've teamed up with the Employee NV Business Hub for the 2023 Spring Job Fair on Friday, March 24.
With more than 100 employers and over 20,000 jobs, we need a big space, which is why we're thrilled to be back at the Las Vegas Convention Center's beautiful West Hall.
Doors open at 9 a.m. Employers will be there until 2, and we listen to your feedback. We're adding more room for on-site interviews, so be sure you come prepared.
We're also debuting what we call the Virtual After Party. It's a chance for employers to invite select candidates to follow-up interviews using a free, easy-to-use virtual platform and a way to keep the conversation going.
Pre-register to receive VIP access. That includes a QR code that can be scanned upon arrival for quicker entrance.
Parking is free. The Underground Vegas Loop will be open, and we'll have a pop-up Employee NV Career Hub for quick resume reviews.
The Spring Job Fair is Friday, March 24.
This is your chance. We can't wait to celebrate your next job. And finally, on Saturday, April 1st, we'll be holding our annual Eggapalooza event at the Paradise Recreation Center located at 4775 McLeod Drive. Registration is open, and you can register online or at the front desk. There will be separate egg hunt times based on ages. This is a free event for kids ages 3 to 12, and the first 500 kids will receive a free Easter basket. Come join us for some egg hunting fun, crafts, and more.
So the second portion of this is for me to be able to share with you some of the communication strategy that we're leaning around. I think it's no secret that we have a significant number of children in care, either from a foster or an adoption perspective. So in partnership with DFS, we are hoping to change the narrative around who these kids are, as well as what Child Haven is, the work that we do there, and the workers committed to helping these children. So I will have a video that I'll show you. It'll be the first in a series that we're hoping to frame around kind of a mini documentary approach. Additionally, we are also in conversation with our news stations to bring back Wednesday's Child. As you know, that went away, and so we are looking for the county to sponsor work in that space to drive, again, visibility to those really great kids who are in need of really great homes. So that'll be kind of the second iteration that I'll bring you hopefully in the next month or two. But Victor, if you can play this first video. Thank you.
Talk to me At my foster home, I want there to be a perfect and fun and a lot of food.
And describe the home you drew.
I have a queen-size bed in my room. I have a lot of dolls, and I have a Nintendo Switch. I have a lot of Play-Doh, and also I have a pet bunny bear. The food that I want there is McDonald's, pancakes, cookies, chips, and donuts. And in the front of my foster dream home it's a mansion. It is very big.
And do you know when you came here to Child Haven?
No.
When I came into care, it was because she reported me as a runaway. And when the officers ultimately found me at my friend's house, the officer was like, I'm taking you back to your sister. And I said, no, because she's not doing anything for me. And he's like, okay. He said, well, it's either that or Child Haven. And I said, well, what's Child Haven? He said, it's CPS center, pretty much. They'll make sure you go to school. They'll make sure your kid's taken care of. They'll make sure everything's you succeed, pretty much. They'll help you out. And I was like, all right, well, I'll go there. And that's how I came into care. The next place that I remember going to would be the nurse's station. So let's go, guys. So this is Agassiz Cottage, which is typically the first place for the new intakes. I remember coming in here and just doing all my physical stuff. They all document it on paper now, so they pretty much, so that when you're released, they know what to expect. If there's a scratch or a scrape, they document it, or they'll even order your prescriptions for you, make sure that you continue that medication. I know we have some kids who are diabetic and stuff, so everything that they could get from wherever they were removed from is the most important thing. I do remember sitting there actually and getting my blood pressure taken and my heart rate and all that. So people show up here, and though it is a job and you sign up for a job and you sign up to do this, they don't have to put the effort and the care into it. And a lot of people aren't here for the paycheck. A lot of people are here because they see the kids. That's all that these kids need, is somebody to listen.
The story on how I got to Child Haven is because me and my mom and my sister were staying in a motel as part of a housing program. We got kicked out on the 9th of February. We started staying at a shelter called the Courtyard. We stayed there for about a week before we spent a few nights at a family friend's house. After a few days of staying at that friend's house, my mom came back and said she had signed us up for this sober living program called Sober Homies. And we had paid $700 to stay there for a month, but on the first night there, we had gone to get our things from the Courtyard because they were going to throw it all away. We got our things, and when we got back to the Sober Living Program's house, they accused my mom of being high, and in result called the cops and CPS, which brought me and my sister to Child Haven. It makes me feel bad that my mom got accused of something that she didn't do, and in result got me and my sister taken away. It's been hard to adjust, but overall I think I've gotten more comfortable with the girls in my cottage and the staff.
Okay, so the nursing part only took about 15 minutes, but before we used to have to stay 24 hours in the Agassiz cottage, and then you were moved over to the cottage that you were supposed to be in, depending on your age group and stuff like that. So for me, I ended up in Beezer, which is this way. One of my biggest mentors was Miss Naomi and Miss Renetta. They were always there kind of guide me through things, really call me out on my nonsense. Miss Larissa was the one that didn't let me stay home from school. She would always make me stay outside. And then that kind of really pushed me to get it together. And Miss Diamond was the compassionate one, the caring one, the one that showed me like what it was to love myself above anything. Placement did a really good job at finding foster homes for me. One of them was in Laughlin. That one just wasn't a good fit. Another one was by Sunrise High School. Again, not a good fit. It was good to always know that there was always a place to go. So like you never had to worry about where you're gonna get a meal from, where you're gonna take a shower at, where you know you're gonna have a house, especially when it's cold or when it's hot. A lot of my foster sisters were actually sex trafficked. For them, that was big on knowing that they were safe and knowing that, you know, no one can hurt them. Things happen in life that you can't control, and it was never my fault that I was here. But the way that I help these kids is really what helps me cope a lot too. My name is Karen Perez. I was a kid here from 2014 to 2017. I now work here at Child Haven, and I help kids manage their behaviors, and I teach them coping mechanisms that I was once taught. Being that I was once in their shoes really helps them interact with me, and it gives them that comfort of knowing that it's not always going to be dark.
So as I mentioned, that's the first video in a series. Hopefully it resonated with you. I am hopeful that we are able to bring a compassionate perspective to the work that we do to care for these children, as well as the staff who help to care for them, and hopefully we will help to find these kids homes in new ways of telling their stories. And I think the team and I feel very privileged to be able to help to share their stories. So if you have any questions, otherwise that's the end of my presentation.
Are there questions? Thank you very much. And I think that this is especially, it reaches us, right? Because this is a legal responsibility we have, but it's so much more than that. In an effort to try and bring some level of what one might call normalcy to the life of children and families who, through no fault of their own, end up in situations and circumstances where they have to deal with us. And we appreciate the enormity of the work that is shouldered by the people who were depicted and represented in that piece. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kevin?
Commissioners, item 50 is to appoint Lorena Portillo as Registrar of Voters pursuant to Clark County Code 2.20.020.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I think it might be best for us to take action because this is not a time when you're here to lobby us at all. And we do want to hear from you, but we want to hear from you and congratulate you. I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Kirkpatrick to appoint you, Lorena Portillo, as the Registrar of Registrar of
No
Voters.
backing out. No worries. I'm here to stay.
The water only gets deeper. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Did that seem like a long time to wait? We do congratulate you. And would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Lorena Portillo, newly appointed Registrar of Voters. I thank you so much, commissioners, county management, the wonderful, dedicated, and very supportive election department staff, Secretary of State's office, city clerks, and all those that support the Clark County Election Department. And most importantly, my beloved family that I treasure very much. I humbly accept the appointment as Registrar of Voters, and with great honor, I will continue the excellent work we are known for on a statewide and a nationwide basis. I have the privilege to have been taught by the best and will fulfill my duties with the utmost respect for this democratic process. Thank you so much.
Thank you and congratulations.
Commissioners, we can now move to item 51, reappoint Ronald Newell to serve on Clark County Regional Flood Control District Citizens Advisory Committee for a 2-year term ending January 2nd, 2025.
There's a motion for approval by Commissioner Jones. Please cast your votes. The motion carries. Thank you.
Item 52 is to appoint Joseph Leedy to serve as a member of the Sewage and Wastewater Advisory Committee and Dalen Sigler to serve as an alternate, both of whom are qualified to serve on the SWAC.
Move to appoint the two. Thank you.
There's a motion for approval to make those appointments by Commissioner Segerblom. Please cast your votes.
Item
Motion
53 is to appoint Chad Jensen to the Bunkerville Town Advisory Board for the remainder of a 2-year term ending January 6th, 2025.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Chad Jensen to the Bunkerville Town Advisory Board.
There's a motion by Commissioner Kirkpatrick. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. The motion carries.
Item 54 is to appoint one qualified individual to serve on the Indian Springs Town Advisory Board for the remainder of a 2-year term ending January 6, 2025 from the list of the following applicants: Richard Broberg, Charlie Konkavy, Laura Lebowski, and Kristen Singer.
Commissioner Miller.
Move to appoint the 2 applicants identified in the agenda.
Nope, there's 4 names. You gotta give us 2.
Oh, sorry. Was there 2? We hold this item for a second. Apologize.
We'll come back to that item in a few minutes.
Commissioners, item 55 is to appoint one qualified individual to serve on the Moapa Town Advisory Board for the remainder of a 2-year term ending January 6, 2025 from the list of the following applicants: Michael Abbott Sr. and Travis Sofo.
Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appoint Michael Abbott Sr. to the Moapa Town Advisory Board.
There's a motion by Commissioner Kirkpatrick. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. The motion carries.
Commissioners, item 56 is to appoint one qualified individual to serve on the Searchlight Town Advisory Board for the remainder of a 2-year term ending January 6, 2025 from the list of the following applicants: Natalie Jeter and Robert Schwann.
Mr. Chairman, I move the appointment of Mr. Robert Shawn.
There's a motion by Commissioner Naft. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. The motion carries. Let's go back to 54.
Apologies, I didn't have my notes. Move to appoint Christian Singer.
There's a motion to appoint Christian Singer to the Indian Springs Town Advisory Board. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. The motion carries.
Commissioners, item 57 is to receive an update on the Cannabis Social Equity Program from Aisha Goins of Black Joy Consulting.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have a presentation, Chair and Committee. I think we have it. I just want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to give you an update, and also for allowing the Pathway to Ownership program to host the pilot, and I'm going to go through the presentation. There will be a few slides that I won't be presenting this afternoon, and I'll give an explanation for why I won't be presenting those. What we're going to be going over is the PTO program, our accomplishments for our cohorts, some highlights, and our future plans. The PTO CBS Goal Summary increased the diversity of ownership in Nevada's cannabis industry, created pathway for social equity applicants to apply for social equity cannabis licensing in Nevada, and to provide workforce development to low-income folks and folks from racially underrepresented groups to the access to cannabis business education. What we've done is we've hosted one whole cohort in a summer program, and I'll review that a little further down. Nevada is a very diverse state where racial minorities constitute a numerical majority, yet Nevada cannabis industry is still disproportionately white and male. The Cannabis Compliance Board released a study during the legislative session that corroborates this. There are 330 cannabis licenses. There's only one fully Black-owned retailer and 2 Black-owned cultivation licenses. The lack of diversity in Nevada's cannabis marketplace leadership isn't due to a lack of interest, but rather to the lack of access to the formal regulated marketplace. I like to say that the illicit market or the unlicensed market is a symptom of the regulated marketplace. There hasn't been enough opportunities and there hasn't been enough access granted. PTO meets the state goals, diversifying Nevada cannabis industry, minimize the illicit cannabis marketplace, and aid in overall public education and outreach, create sustainable cannabis business applications. Our proposed solution was to increase diversity in the social equity in Nevada's cannabis industries. I moved a little too fast. The team for the Pathway to Ownership pilot program was me. I sat on the Cannabis Advisory Commission for the Governor's Board. I also founded Cannabis Equity and Inclusion Community. I am a leader, an outreach leader, and it is my goal always to serve my community. Our Dean of Students was Chandler. You have probably met Chandler over and over and over again through committee hearings. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with him, but most importantly, Chandler was an impacted individual. And so I thought it was important to have impacted people leading this team because those were the persons that we were trying to serve. Also, Ron Baker acted as the teaching assistant. He also is an impacted person. And one of the things that I want to point out about Mr. Baker is because of this program, when he came into this program, he had an idea of what he wanted to be in the industry and has since then became one of the community's leaders in media presence. Also, we had our resident scientist, Dr. Jamie L. Palmer. Jamie also is an facilitator and instructor at the Nevada State College. They haven't gotten their changed, Nevada State College. Nevada's leading cannabis business education program, the PTO program, is a highly sought after program. We had 245 applicants received, 150 total accepted applications, and 47% acceptance rate. When we started the program, when we came to the county, we were already in a cohort. And since we've been here in October of 21, we've done 3 cohorts total, and we're in a cohort now. The PTO program is an educational and workforce development program. One of the feedback that I received from the commission's board was that you wanted to see workforce development. You wanted to be able to see that the information that they were getting was leading to jobs. And so we have served 3 cohorts. Our courses are 16 weeks, include industry and state leader speakers, including account, legal, and business proposal review and feedback. What I want to say about the workforce component is because the facilitators were industry leaders, they found fits in the program when they were there to facilitate. And so that was an unforeseen greatness for us. Our program results is we educated and mentored a total of 115 students, successfully graduated 30 participants, hosted 64 classroom sessions. We attended 27 network events, and it's important to point that out because we had persons win licenses, and because they won licenses, it meant that we had to extend ourselves further to ensure that they had access to capital. We hosted 18 workshops, assisted 15 participants with licensing applications, and I'll talk a little bit about that. 13 participants landed a career in the industry. 5 participants awarded prospective licenses for consumption lounges. The consumption lounge licensees will provide an additional 100 jobs to the industry. That's what we're estimating per those licensees. I want to say that we had 5 pathway to ownership persons actually win licenses, but our organization had 7 licenses awarded overall, one of them not being a social equity license. And what has transpired is that we have had a few volunteers come on that have been assisting us with these licensees. They won the lottery in November, and then they had 120 days from November to, which would be the 30th of this month, to make sure that they had all of their paperwork and funding. PTO leading the way in ownership, workforce development, diversity, and social equity in cannabis. We also were awarded a $20,000 support PTO education. This is a sociology initiative foundation, and we were of the top 5% proposals nationally. Also, the grant that we appreciate and was able to get to this point from the county. I want to point out that Pathway to Ownership is a program in the nation that is trying to understand and trying to formulate cannabis education. In our state, each one of the schools have created a cannabis education. So UNR has one, UNR Extension, Nevada College is putting one together, UNLV is actually formulating also some cannabis classes. The majority of our SE candidates, they would not have had a completed business application with Cannabis Business School is the sub-name of our Pathway to Ownership program. SE candidates indicated that restrictions on licensing and the high fees to apply are still formidable barriers. Our program paid for 5 licensees to get into the social equity application program. We raised that money to ensure that they could actually apply. The Nevada policy still has a way to go to make room for new and creative ideas without stripping social equity candidates from ownership control over these business models. We introduced a workforce development program called Cannabis to Cabbage. It is a vertically integrated program. We've partnered with, I had to write the name down because we didn't fit it in here, Green Side Up Farms LLC, which is a vertically integrated farm. A vertically farm. On our research on social equity cannabis studies and cannabis studies in institutes are new and growing growing across the United States. While most universities are still keeping cannabis studies at arm's length, states with legalization are starting to offer cannabis studies programs as a part of science, innovation, and workforce development. Most cannabis studies programs were founded in 2021 in Colorado, Oregon, and California. Research on cannabis industries is new and growing. Pathway to Ownership and Cannabis Business School, which is what we've sub-named our program, provides educating and workforce development to those missed by many university programs, such as low-income, recently displaced employees, those with a criminal offense related to cannabis, and underrepresented racial and gender minorities. Pathway to Ownership specifically focused on those persons who were most impacted by the war on drugs. What that meant is that most of our candidates were actual persons who had cannabis offenses. It's very difficult to farm those persons or to identify those persons because they're still disconnected from wanting to be involved with anything cannabis. And so what we were able to do is do outreach through the community to find candidates for this program. Diversity Nevada Pathway to Ownership Leading the Way Outcome Summaries. Diversifying Nevada cannabis industry, we were able to have Pathway to Ownership graduates with licensing, workforce, and leadership. Specifically, our Pathway to Ownership program attendees showed up to Cannabis Compliance Board's meetings to speak out on what they felt were not in their best interest. They've showed up here at the county to talk about what was going on with licensing, and they've showed up at the city. So what Pathway to Ownership did do isn't just provide them information to have a business structure, but it also empowered them to be able to understand and be engaged in the process of government. We provide public literacy on Nevada's cannabis policy, host public events such as application workshops and cannabis pride, among others, provide education literacy on safe use practices and the difference between CBD and THC, and also THC-8, which is also an illegal substance in the state of Nevada. We provide educational literacy related to civil rights and cannabis policy in Nevada today. Pathway to Ownership brings national recognition in Nevada and Clark County as a leading example for education, training, and workforce development, social equity, and cannabis. I'm going to end the presentation there. I just want to close with, I want to openly thank the volunteers, Chris Laporte, Scott Rutledge, Andrew Muir, and Mr. Philip Peckman. And I'm thanking them, and I'm going to get a little emotional. I'm thanking them for the hundreds of hours and phone calls to investors and to future licensees. The reason why I'm not asking for further funding right now is because in the last 3 weeks, it has been a little overwhelming for me and my team, because we do have 7 licensees. There is no funding, and I have had to lean on those gentlemen specifically to identify predatory funders. I feel like I have done a disservice to these licensees because there was no money to give to them. And until I can assess what that really looks like in the future, I don't want to ask for any more funding for this program. Having 6 licensees is a great accomplishment, and I realize that. But not being able to serve them has been the most defeating thing for me. I've done all that I can. My team and my volunteers. Thrive Marketplace has given all that I know that they could, but not having funding, it has just been a disheartening situation and overwhelming for me and my team. But I appreciate the opportunity from the Clark County Commission, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Are there questions? Mr. Sagerblum.
Just to follow up on that, so 7 of your students were able to obtain equity licenses?
Yes, several of our students. We have 5 specific Pathway to Ownership students. 1 and 2 of them came through. We did a summer program, also have licenses.
Okay, and when do they have to show financial resources, or what's the deadline the state has put out there?
So the 30th is our drop dead date. We have funded 4 of our licensees, and we are working on 3 of them now.
All right, well, just, I'm not sure if you're working with the state to maybe get that deadline pushed back a little bit, but if you want to reach out to my office, Christian McCurdy, we will try to assist you any way we can.
I appreciate the offer.
And thank you what you've done. I've been to a couple of your events, and you've really reached out in the community, and the ideas that were raised were incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Also wanted to say thank you for your work and also on your success. While, it may feel defeating not to have the additional funding for the licensees that were awarded, I think that it goes well to say that this investment was, it was indeed, well received. And out of what are the 13 licenses, was 13?
There were 10 social equity licenses.
Okay. So out of the 10 social equity licenses, you and your team were awarded 7 of them. That's no little feat. So thank you for your hard work, and please do follow up if we can be of further service.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Commissioners, item 58 is to receive a report from the Clark County School District regarding their 2022 Quarter 4 municipality report.
Good morning, Chair Gibson,
Good
County
morning.
Commissioners, Celeste Rayford, Region 2 Superintendent, Clark County School District. I'm here today to share an update and a few school highlights. As you know, the Clark County School District is operating under a reorganization mandated by state law. And part of the report includes a status update related to the compliance with that law and related state and district regulations. Currently, there are no outstanding notices of noncompliance. The quarterly report was submitted for your review. The report included a spotlight on homelessness. In this section, we share that homelessness is a community-based factor impacting achievement. Between August and November 2022, over 9,000 students were already identified as experiencing homelessness. Additionally, the quarterly report included trend achievement data for elementary, middle, and high schools in the areas of English language arts, math, and science, enrollment and achievement data for advanced coursework, and student enrollment for career and technical education, CTE courses in high school for the 21-22 school year. Based on the Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium, SBAC, for our elementary schools, grades 3 through 5, the data shows there has been an increase in proficiency in grades 3 through 5 in ELA by 5%, 35% to 40%. And by 10% in math, 21% proficiency to 31% proficiency. However, there was a slight decline in proficiency for science, which was only assessed in grades 5 in elementary school. And that was by 2%, going from 21% down to 19%. In middle school, grades 6 through 8, there was a slight increase in proficiency in ELA by 2%, going from 39% to 41%. By math, in math by 1%, from 20% to 21% in proficiency. And in science also by 1%, going from 29% to 30%. In high school, the grade 11 ACT proficiency rates in ELA showed a slight decrease by 1%, going from 45% to 44%, and in math by 2%, a 2% decrease, from 21% to 19%, and in science, grade 10, an 8% decrease, going from 28% to 19%. Our enrollment in advanced coursework showed an increase from 17,384 students to 17,740 students. There was an increase in the AP test taken as a percentage of the AP course enrollments, going from 59% to 78%. And there was an increase in enrollment for the CTE courses, going from 49,266 students to 52,602 students. That concluded the portion of the report for the achievement section. Are there any questions regarding that piece of the report that I may share with our team and report back to you?
I have a question.
Yes.
Just on what you've presented to us. I hadn't seen this before this morning, but on page 5, you indicate that there were, you count up and report to us on the students experiencing homelessness. And I assume that the city of Las Vegas, when it says Las Vegas, you mean the city of Las Vegas, over 7,000 students as compared to any other jurisdiction. I'm wondering, does that look to you like that's justified, that is a real number? And what is behind that number? How did you come to that conclusion?
So you're talking about for the total number on what page? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Is it page 5?
Yes, it's on
Okay.
page 5, and it's students experiencing homelessness by municipality. That
Yes.
seems like an awfully high number, particularly since it's a lot more than, say, in the entirety of Clark County. And I wonder if there could be an error there. And if so, would that be something you'd please look at and get back to us?
Yes, I can take a look and check back to you. I know for us, in terms of what we identify as homelessness, are students who are might be living with a relative or living with someone else, or they're looking for housing.
Or in a daily weekly, right?
Yes,
I mean, under
correct.
the federal law, daily weekly
Yes.
does not count as a home.
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
Commissioner Kirkpatrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm 63 in unincorporated Clark County is concerning, considered Whitney Elementary School, a third of their kids live in what's considered homeless, which is unincorporated Clark County. So, but Ms. Rayford, I remember you as a third grade teacher, and I feel like you drew the short straw because we've never had the same person twice. We never follow up on the previous report. So last time, they came and told us that there was 40% truancy rate. And crickets, never heard nothing. And at the same time, here we are coming to the end of the school year when the statute says, Clark County has to be responsible for those child neglects. And we got no answers. So every elected official, Commissioner Jones and GIBSON and I were talking to other electeds at the Water District Board. Everybody is concerned about that 40% truancy rate. And then you give me a number of 63 unincorporated kids in Clark County that are homeless. I beg to differ. I probably have 63 in my district. So I just am concerned on following up on the previous information. I've found recently that we're not getting referrals from the principals to the harbor. And I've followed one kid in particular in my district. So I'm just trying to understand, although AB 469, look, we had all agree that you don't want to be here. I don't want to hear something that I can't solve or fix. But at the same time, what's the plan? Because if we didn't follow up on the T-pop stuff or the kids being absent, but the county's on the hook for those numbers, and we're going to get, like we do every year, 4,500 on May 15th when you can't re-enroll the kids, and I just don't understand. And then testing is coming up next week. Some kids are actually starting this week, and I think the week of April 4th, the other kids are testing. But what do you want us to do? Because I'm very involved in at least 30 of the schools in my district, and I think you oversee the ones on the east side, like Martin Luther King and Hickey, right? Aren't you the?
I used to be in Region 3, so those were schools
See,
that I
y'all move
supervised,
around.
yes.
I can't even keep damn track. So, I'm just frustrated because I don't know. You don't want to be here. This is frustrating to me. I gotta believe it's frustrating for you because you were one of the most amazing third grade teachers that Neal Elementary ever seen, and those kids still remember you to this day. But this is frustrating. I don't know. What do you want from us?
So I hear what you're asking. You're asked, and I can take it back to our team, is that whatever...
The same team that's going to put someone else on it next time, and somebody new is going to show up. I mean, one guy came, poor guy was only here 1 week, and they threw him to the wolves. I'm tired of being a wolf, but if you want me to help you with education, please give me an answer. And I don't want you to go back to the team. I want the team to come here at the same time. Okay. This is frustrating to me. That is the number one top of the agenda. If I asked a person and I walked out there, what's the most important issue to you today? Say, my kid's education. This is number one. And you should see some of the crap that's going on in the legislature. It ain't about education. So I just, honestly, I don't want you to take it back to your team, because I promise you, Jara is listening to me complain about this, but where's the answer from the last one? Because if the kids being absent and our program isn't working, we're coming up to a budget, then we need to figure out what that is. So I don't want you to go back to your team. I adore you. I'm telling you, I know you're an amazing person, but you ain't coming back twice, I promise you.
I'll be back.
Sure, that's what
I
they
will
all
be back.
say.
I will be back. I know with the truancy, the chronic absenteeism issue, we are beginning to, for quarter 4, begin to start to incentivize students, not necessarily for perfect attendance, but for exemplary attendance. We've started doing some home visits with families just to reach out to students who we know have been absent, just to kind of find out what kinds of resources and things that we can provide to ensure that they are in schools. But we're also recognizing students with exemplary attendance as well, to say, we appreciate you coming. What is it that wants you to come to school? A lot of times we hear from students, it's the relationships that they have with the teams at the schools that's going to bring them there, and the support that they receive. So what I hear, I'll be back next time, and I promise you, Commissioner Kirkpatrick.
I'm going to hold that to you, because I'm going to find you, and you'll probably change jobs twice.
I will be back, and I definitely will take back to the team that you want some additional information regarding truancy. You'd like to have the team here, but you want some follow-up based on whatever you're asking from whoever is presenting to come back with your response.
Yes.
Okay.
And it would be helpful for us to understand what you do, what the district does. I mean, we know that you're accumulating a report, which we get at the end of the school year, so there's nothing we can do about attendance by the time we receive that report. And if there were a way that you would just independently determine that you would be in touch with us on a regular basis more frequently during the school year, that would be an amazing advance, because we look at the numbers, it's overwhelming, and we know no matter what our contact is with the family, it'll do nothing for the school year that just completed itself. So there are things that we think could be helpful, understanding what the district is doing in real time, and then maybe involving us closer to real time.
Okay.
Is there anything more from members of the board?
Just a technical comment.
Yes.
I don't know if it was a copying error on our side or on your side, but the report we have only has every other page.
Oh, goodness.
So, I don't know.
Thank you very much for.
Am I able to share some school highlights with you, or no?
Well,
I'm involved in my schools. I know what I highlight.
Okay.
I mean, we work with our schools a lot. We're happy to have you report on things that you think are pertinent to the concerns that we have and the concerns that you have. I mean, obviously, you're going to be focused in a way we're not. What we know is what we run into every time we go out into the public.
Right.
And when we engage with parents, as Commissioner Kirkpatrick has noted, that is the message. So we look forward to seeing you again. We appreciate being able to have a bit of a dialogue at the dais, and we hope that there will be an opportunity to really make some progress, because I think in the end, it was the hope and expectation that this report would result in real action, that we would work together and we would get a report back on the things we're doing together, in addition to the things that statutorily have been imposed upon the district. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you next time.
All right. Wanted to make one comment. I'm going to give the floor to Commissioner Naft as a part of our public comment, or excuse me, our public participation period, relative to an announcement that has just been made by the White House.
Thank you, Chairman. Just wanted to share, while we've been in this meeting, President Biden declared designated our nation's National Monument of Equal May, an effort that this board has been actively working on for quite some time. It's been well over a year that the Laughlin Town Advisory Board and the Searchlight Town Advisory Board made recommendations to this body. We passed a resolution in support. Very early on in the effort, there were just a handful of people that were paving the way for this to happen, and just want to acknowledge and thank this board for their participation, along with Annette Magnus and the entire Honor of Equal May organization, the tribal communities, the chairman, and of course Congresswoman Titus, who really initially got the wheels in motion on this effort, and certainly President Biden for officially designating of Equal May as a national monument. Thank you, Chairman.
This is the last time for public comment. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak? And if so, please come forward. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please give us your name so that we can make a record of your participation today.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Brandon Summers for the record. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for your continued service to the community of Southern Nevadans. And thank you, Commissioners Sagerblum and Chair GIBSON, for hosting another job fair this Friday. Thank you all, Commissioners, for deciding to table the pedestrian bridge ordinance for good. This ordinance would have certainly impacted unhoused individuals as well as street performers in a negative manner. The violence that transpired on the Strip last year was unfortunate, but I doubt it was preventable. There are still many tools that law enforcement has at its disposal, and those tools should be exhausted before considering new ordinances. Lastly, yesterday, March 20th, 2023, marked the 20th year anniversary of the U.S. military invasion of Iraq under the leadership of President George Bush. This should have never happened, and my heart hurts for the millions of Iraqi citizens who suffered and continue to suffer under American imperialism and occupation. We will never truly know the number of civilians who were killed during the conflict. My heart also hurts for the hundreds of thousands of servicemen and women who were involved in the occupation, especially those who have died from suicide and those who continue to struggle with PTSD. I pray that Generation Z has lost its appetite for violence in the name of patriotic service. The only winners of these interventions are contractors and corporate warlords. And lastly, if time permits, I'd like to read this excerpt. In Iraq, some scars of the US-led invasion remain hidden. Even as the war's 20th anniversary is marked this week, US military for years disposed of waste in burn pits on wide swaths of land that were constantly smoking. Some were the size of a football field. In them were plastics, electronics, and military and medical waste. The environmental impacts of the invasion, including those burn pits, continue to plague Iraqis to this day. After years of lobbying, the US government approved legislation to address the health impacts on US soldiers. But there's been no discussion on compensation for Iraqis. There's been no discussion of compensation for Iraqi civilians. All right, thank you.
To members of the board, thank you very much for letting me speak today. My name is Wendy Weissman, and I am a superhost of a midterm rental here in Clark County. I also have a degree in economics and mathematics, and as an economist, I wondered what the financial impact would be of reducing STRs in the Vegas area. My main assumptions were, number one, Airbnb and Vrbo report up to 90% of their rentals are to families. Based on 2021 data from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, only 21% of visitors came with someone in their party under 21. Why is this difference important? Because based on information I found, two of the most important amenities when families travel is a unit with adjoining rooms and a kitchen. I looked at the same weekend in May for a 2-bedroom suite with at least a kitchenette at 5 random properties, and they ranged from $244 for a dump off the Strip to over $1,000 a night if you wanted to stay on the Strip. Each of these is more than the average daily rate of $192 ADR listed on the LVCVA website. STRs are set up for families. Many have at least 2 bedrooms and a kitchen where families can be together in one unit. Data from all the rooms show 2-bedroom STRs in Vegas currently charging an average of $227 per night, and of course this is not including any kind of resort fee. With all this information and other data on the LVCVA website, we can extrapolate the loss of economic benefit to the county. I focused on 2 areas: sales tax spending and gambling. Based on a number of factors, but mainly the reduction of 10,000 units to the original 2,880 originally estimated to be licensed, I calculated the following results. There will be almost a $1 billion, that is B, billion-dollar loss annually in sales taxable spending. This will result in Clark County itself revenue reduction of almost $37 million annually. The gambling losses are also stark. Assuming that 2 people per se are gambling, there will be losses of over $400 million annually. As to noise complaints, at least one study showed there was no material difference in noise complaints between STRs, long-term rentals, and owner-occupied properties. I tried to look at Clark County's own metrics, but you do not publish noise complaint data. That said, noise can be easily mitigated using new technology like Minute and NoiseAware. In summary, STRs caters to families, and most resorts and hotels do not. The current ordinance will simply price most families out of Las Vegas as a vacation destination. I ask that you please encourage good hosting with smart regulation or see families take their billions to Orlando. Thank you. I have a copy for a handout if you want.
Thank you. Hand that over to the clerk. Thank you very much. Next.
Good morning. Good morning, County Commissioners. My name is Timothy Eliado. I'm here to make a quick presentation in regards to the social equity presentation that you had received earlier from Aisha Goins. This is the second perspective or the second narrative that is currently not the most popular narrative. So I did apply for the Cannabis Consumption Lounge as a social equity applicant. I went through the same process as Chandler and the other individuals did. Only difference was I was not selected through the lottery process. Today, I'm here to explain few issues that we had. And I'm sure that you're all aware that Aisha Goins, who is basically who's a nonprofit, the CEIC, it's also Black Joy Consultant as the lobbyist firm that was placed as the subcommittee chair to make the recommendations for the CCB to get all these regulations in place. So the night before the lottery was held, we received an email. Our grads will get a lounge license. It's a fair playground. It's supposed to be fair. This is supposed to be fair. Well, she gets to make the decisions. She gets to decide who gets the license.
Rotate your picture, will you, so we can look at it? No, no, I didn't mean that way. Just if, yeah. Get some help. There you go. Okay.
Well, I just want to know: is there any conflict of interest in this case? It's up to the commissions to decide. You get to make the decisions. your organization gets awarded the licenses. 10 licenses were available. 7 out of the 10 licenses were awarded to her after they made the decisions on what regulations would move forward. We had 2 alternatives, a lottery system or a merit system. Well, she was opposed to the merit system because obviously they're very new to this whole industry. I go back when Senator Tixigabloom, before he introduced Senate Bill SB 374, which jump-started the cannabis industry to what it is. I was the first person of color to
Why don't you
basically...
take that card down, will you?
You awarded a license to Chandler, who was the dean. The dean. He made presentations to you to help us.
Okay, so you need to wrap this up.
Okay, please, 1 second. So I sent an email, I sent a letter to, a message to Commissioner Tex Segerbloom during the process because I needed help with a diversity plan. And this is...
So can you leave us a copy of your message?
Sorry, this is really frustrating. If you put your heart and soul in this industry, you work so hard. We started from medical cannabis patient. I'm an Ehlers-Danlos syndrome patient. We work hard to get this movement to where it is today. To see what is currently happening right now is injustice. To see what is currently happening right now is criminal. To see what is currently happening right now,
thank you, sir.
It's unacceptable.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, Commissioners. Emily Prasad Zamora, Executive Director of Silver State Voices. And regarding Agenda Item 50, we just wanted to say that we really appreciate the appointment of Registrar Lorena Portillo. Our organization has been able to work with her for many years, and I know you had many candidates. She's honestly has a track record of being able to work with so many different communities and be able to provide the resources that those communities need. So we really appreciate it, and we think it's also a perfect way to celebrate Women's History Month. It wasn't talked about, but she's the second woman ever to have the position and the first woman of color. So I think there's a lot of little girls that we'll be celebrating today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Carrie Dermick. I'm the Nevada State Director for All Voting is Local, and I would like to echo those thoughts as well. We just really want to thank you for appointing Lorena Portillo to the Register of Voters position in Clark County. She has over 25 years of experience in the elections department, and there really is not another more qualified person for that role. And so just really thank you so much for appointing her, and really looking forward to continue to work with her in that position. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Amy Koo, and I am I'm the Acting Deputy Director with One API in Nevada. We're a nonprofit that works with the Asian American community here in Las Vegas. We're really excited to see Lorena Portillo's appointment to the registrar's position. We've worked with her in her position as the assistant registrar to make sure that language access is a key consideration when Clark County is administering elections, and we're excited to work with her in her new role to make sure that we are continuing to make sure that our new American voters are able to access elections. So thank you so much.
Hello, County Commissioners. My name is Brian Harris. I'm here with Battleborn Progress and the Institute for Progressive Nevada. I also want to echo the sentiments that were previously stated before me. I want to thank you all for appointing Ms. Lorena Portillo as the new Registrar of Voters here in Clark County, and we really are excited and look forward to doing work with her in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to apologize for my attitude due to the fact is I didn't take my blood pressure medication. This is information I left off without asking for the deed. I want to ask Maryland. I submitted some papers Friday or Thursday, do she have them ready for me to pick up so I can submit it to the Records Department and Accessories? Is there an answer?
No, not during the public comment period.
These are, if you could put this on a scanner, this is some information that Shannon Moyes did not put on my file in order for my records to be accepted, in order for my payment. I was supposed to get my payment after I won, after 14 days. It takes 61 days. And that summons in which Steve Wynn received at the Golden Nugget was a 20-day summons for payment. Now, I'm so upset because I should not be suffering like this. This is 43 years of embarrassment and disgust, and I got to say my child. My grandson is dealing with Shannon Moyes, and she got him under Will Coleman, that she involved herself with Gary Coleman and taking my money and they're creating different strokes. And that's where my money been going. And this girl, Jamil DeJohn, has some association with Robert G. Gates as being something relative, whatever. She owes me $3 million of my workman's comp. I want my money. I'm tired of being in Nevada. And you have brought me to a level I have to explain, and I should never have to come here or form this committee or give my $3 million for your usage to develop the state, and I have done that. And my name is Margaret Ann Coleman, and I'm the only one, and 4,000 Margaret Coleman have taken my identity of my private federal act, whereas I should be receiving. I only get Social Security less than $1,000, and that's nothing. Less than $900 or close to it. And that's a disgusting, and that's been going on $71 in the beginning from a win situation of a workman's compensation and pension. $25,000 stolen when I got my decision for my Social Security. That was stolen. Then my workman's comp. You're exonerated to $3 million. Then the 1% stop, the $3 billion. When am I going to receive? When? I want to take care of my children. I had them. You talk about people talking about taking care of their kids. Well, what about me? I want a case to save your life, and I can't save my children.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman.
I will submit these papers.
That's
I left some
fine.
papers
Thank
here.
you.
I left some papers here. Could I get them back? And I'll submit them at the same time.
Whatever you gave us during this meeting, we can give back to you, but we don't have anything else from at any other time.
No, this is it. I'll submit
Next.
it. I'll submit it in the office.
Yes, my name's Grace Albanese, Albanese. Thank you for hearing me. I want to speak about 3 subjects. The Oyo Hotel, that's OYO Hotel, Chasing Horse, a Native American who's in jail, and the Las Vegas paving over here on Decatur. And Steve Barrios, I'm sure some of you may have received some text messages from him. He is the leader of the largest organized crime gang in Las Vegas, and I am their only target. He's receiving payoffs at the Oyo Hotel, room 323. He's received a couple of them in exchange for pictures of my thoughts and pictures of my dreams that Steve then downloads because he can see, because I'm microchipped, and he puts them on a floppy disk and on a hard drive and takes them over to the Oyo Hotel. He's going there this Easter weekend to receive another payoff for my human rights and my civil rights that are being violated due to the fact that I cannot think in private or dream in private. And then we have Chasing Horse, a Native American Indian who is in jail for doing far less frequently than what Steve Barrios has been engaged in for the last 10 years, stalking me on his phone, the leader of a organized crime gang. Why is a Native American Indian sitting in jail for doing the same thing that Steve Barrios has been doing? He goes by the name of Chasing Horse. He needs to be released, and Steve Barrios needs to be put in jail right away. And finally, Las Vegas Paving over here on Decatur. They're leaving a lot of dirt, dust, debris on the sidewalk where I sleep on Clark Avenue. I know it's not in your jurisdiction, but Las Vegas Paving is at Las Vegas Boulevard. I went to Las Vegas Paving yesterday. They threw me out because I'm homeless. I wanted to tell them that there's a lot of dirt, dust, and debris the Las Vegas Paving left behind since Wednesday. They did some concrete work, and it's been there since Wednesday. And they threw me out, Las Vegas Paving. I went back. They said that they were going to have somebody remove it. And it got wet. Now it's all slippery. And people walk through this all the time. It's on Clark, just west of Las Vegas Boulevard. It's where I sleep. I think that's why they're leaving it there, because I sleep there. And it's it's a threat, or it can be harmful to people. Now it's all slippery. And so they said they were going to have somebody remove it. And I went there last night, and it's still there. So it's been there since Wednesday. All this dirt, dust, and debris, they won't remove it. It would just take a broom just to move it out of the way. They cut the tape, the caution tape, move the cones so people can walk through it on Friday, and they never swept the area. And I have to sleep in this. And so my time is up. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Melinda Monroe. I'm a native of Las Vegas, and I was talking on the social inequity program that they had going on. And I'm really here supporting my friend Ellie, because he did apply for it, and he's been part.
Ma'am, the security officers will take care of you there.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
And I'm talking about the social inequity, and I've been part of the situation on the outsides, because I've known Ellie for a long time, and he's helped with a lot of the policies and everything that's been put together for medical marijuana, and then they made it recreational. However, for us to have a part of it, a part of it, they came out with this social inequity program, and was supposed to help black people be able to have a part of it legitly, because we've been the ones that have suffered the demise of it, being in jail, and the tickets and the fines have mainly been black Americans, and put in jail and all that. And so that's how the social inequity program came about, when they realized that the only people that were owning them are the ex-judges, lawyers, ex-police that are making the main profit off of it. We're just asking to be fair. And for the selection that they had for the lottery, it wasn't a lottery. How can you apply for 8 licenses? Aisha Goins, she's supposed to have a committee, and this was one of her meetings there, and this is what they do. You can see that they're supposed to be teaching people about cannabis. And that right there is a joke. You can see people aren't even engaged, and the only thing that they really learned was very minimal things as far as like indica or sativa. You know, one of them is more of an upper, one of them is more of a downer. And that's not the only thing about cannabis. But anyway, we want to be able to have some of the money that's coming from it also. And her program was not available. It was select people, because I never heard about it. I'm a native. My niece is a native. I know lots of natives. I know lots of people in the black community. Nobody heard of this. You know, she didn't make it. But anyway, the selection was unfair. She got all the licenses, okay? And that's unfair. How can you get 8 out of 10? You know, that's unfair. And we applied, and we did everything. We asked for answers. How did they really do this lottery system? You know, and that's all I just have to say, that it's unfair. And I'm a native here, and I know about the mob. I've met some of the mobsters myself, and it just seems like they're still here, but they're just in little suits behind a desk, you know, and they're still doing corrupt things. But at least the mob cared about family, and they did care about loyalty and integrity in one way or another. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Frances Dean, one more time. First of all, I'd like to, with all due respect, if the public part of the conversation was over on item number 46 after Mr. Ewing spoke, I respectfully request that you eliminate Virginia Valentine's commentary because she came directly after Ed Ewing. Public commentary, I don't believe, was closed, and I apologize if I missed it, but you know, Virginia came after Ed. So the reason I really came here today is I wanted to explain to you, again, my name is Frances Dean, a well-known felon in our community who took a plea bargain that I agreed to never register to vote or run for office again. I went to get a driver's license at the end of February to update my driver's license. I filled out the forms at the DMV, explicitly checking the box that said, no, I do not want to register to vote. Imagine my surprise and fear and concern when I got a letter from the election department saying that I had been registered to vote as a nonpartisan. Imagine. I immediately called the election department because I'm afraid I'm going to get picked up now by Metro for no mistake of my own. So I called the election department, and the gal that you appointed today helped me walk through how I get unregistered to vote. She also opened an investigation at the Secretary of State's office on how in the world the DMV would register someone to vote who clearly had marked no. Now, I'm extraordinarily embarrassed to be here today. 10 years. More than 10 years. And the fact that I have done everything I can do to adhere to the policies and whatever I needed to do, and to have the state put me into a situation where now I'm probably going to have to hire a lawyer, I am potentially going to be picked up by Metro, and I did everything I'm supposed to do. Not to mention that I have a stalker. Now my public information is on your database. How dare you? How dare any of you put me into a situation where I have to spend money to fix something that I didn't break? I am really, in case you can't tell, I'm shaking. I am upset. How dare this happen to me? I did everything right. So I do hope that when you see some sort of problem coming up with my name being counteracting to what I agreed to, that you will understand this has nothing to do with anything that I did. I'm furious.
Ma'am, I don't think that's something any of us would receive a report upon. It's not an agency that we control. There's nothing we can do about it. We agree with you. That never should have happened. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during the public comment period?
Yes, my name is Ed Ewing. I just wanted to draw together a few of the things that have happened at this meeting and comment on those. When we're talking about supper clubs as being a substitution for the taverns, that's an unworkable solution. It shouldn't even be brought up because the purpose of supper clubs is to sell food. And the purpose of people going out and getting together and drinking and so on, and let me notice, I don't drink at all, and so, but I think they have a right to do this, and so to even bring supper clubs into the discussion is totally contradictory. Another thing that was brought up was that this is the only place It's my understanding that, that the town square got the permission to have additional bars there, but, or taverns as the thing is. Someone mentioned that they weren't able to. I thought that was given to them. My particular concern, since I've spent 30 years trying to figure out how we can get more entertainment venues in the Fruit Loop area, and totally failed at it. Thank heavens I got out of that and transferred things to outside the country. But what these distance requirements have done to the Fruit Loop is negated everything. We at one time had were landlords to a cannabis industry business. My partner is a 3-time minority. He's an immigrant. He's gay, and he's Filipino, and they took away his license. This was before most of your time. Senator Kirkpatrick was here at the time, but she was brand new and she didn't know really what was going on. But that license was stolen from him and transferred across the street and reduced the value of his properties by $3 million. That's the sort of thing that that happens when you pander to particular interests, particularly the developers and the resort hotels, who, by the way, are given more time to talk. My time is over. I'm not I don't represent the resort hotels, so I'm not going to be able to talk more. There's more I could say. I hope you'll read what I left for you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during the public comment period? There being no one, then this meeting is in recess until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thank you.